Chad. What did you get from that?
I missed you all.
I mean,
I don't know yet.
12 books.
I don't know yet. I haven't got direct answers. Still got that empty seat, I see. Still got hope to be filling that soon.
Give you a color.
Thank you, Kevin. Nice to see you.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I'll follow along.
You can like color
Yeah.
copies, Kevin.
Yeah, color's a little bit better.
Just a second, Cable. Karen is going to be back in just a moment. Can we start?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I call her boss. All right, Cable, whenever you're ready. It is true.
She is. Essential employee.
Thank you, Cable. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your weekly Board of Selectmen's regular meeting. The date is Wednesday, May 16th, 2018. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. It will be played on Channel 9 Live, and there will be replays on Channel 9, and we will make sure it's posted on YouTube as well. At this time, I ask everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, while we're standing, I would like to mention the passing of two Dayton residents, Audrey Furtado and John Wood. And in their memory, I would ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Our condolences to the families, of course. Normally we start with public input, but we have some special guests this evening. So first, I think it's appropriate to start with a discussion on the use of town hall land to hold a commencement ceremony. And after that, we'll discuss the powwow proposed to occur in the back of town hall. And the commencement ceremony is for Bristol County Agricultural High School. It will be in May. It's approaching, and we have Assistant Superintendent Kevin Braga here tonight, so thank you. And did you want to open the floor? I know you gave us a checklist of the hoops that you've jumped through, the bureaucratic hoops, so we appreciate that.
Would you like me to kind of
Sure,
provide
yeah,
some type of synopsis? So thank you, Board of Selectmen, for inviting me here tonight. I honestly, I think I first want to thank everybody who's been involved. Since we've kind of come up with the idea of asking the town to use their facilities, everybody involved has really come out of the woodwork to help us out, from the Dayton Police and Fire Chief, who has been on board. Mr. Ferry has been just fantastic. Mr. Rhines, Mr. Pyers, the Lions Club, Mr. Only. Everybody that we've contacted to try to make this event successful for our students has been above and beyond supportive. So just want to thank everybody publicly for their support. So traditionally, Bristol Aggie, since their first graduation in 1913, has never had an outdoor graduation. So since I've come on board last year, it's something that I've always heard that they wanted to pursue, and so we looked at some options of hosting it on site, and then we came to the idea of coming here to Town Hall, which was previously a high school, which could be set up for graduation since it has those concrete bleachers. And so we kind of started coming up with those ideas. They started with small conversations, and here we are tonight. Really, spoke with Selectman Goulart on occasion. Everybody has been involved. So I'm here to answer any questions or any concerns.
We get free tickets.
Yes.
Are we even invited?
Well, you bring up a very good point. So I was actually going to ask, have you been invited to the
Yes,
graduation?
in the past, yes.
Not this year, yeah.
So, okay, so I am formally inviting you. I apologize that you haven't received the formal invitation, but I will definitely make sure you get that. But I am personally inviting
Thank
you to attend the ceremony, which is Thursday, May 31st at 6:30. We would love to have you in attendance,
I will be
especially
there.
since it's here.
What time do you want us to come? If the ceremony is at 6:30, what time do you bring your
would say-
trustees and whatever will be here?
Yeah, I'm asking them to come between 5:30 and 6 o'clock.
Okay, all right.
And so we're asking if this could be a room for people to congregate and our special
Right.
guests.
Right. And I did send an email to you. I'm not sure that, are both restrooms downstairs available for use? One's got storage in it, isn't it?
One has
is
items,
usually
have
not,
items in it.
yeah.
But there is one restroom, and there are two up here.
Okay, great.
So,
We applied for.
okay, well, he's talking about for the in-house, the people that are going to be in here and the graduates that will be,
We got 3 of them all paid for.
okay, all right, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great for the public. It's been a question from our parents concerned that there won't be any facilities for the guests, and I've assured them that the Lions Club has graciously donated the porta potties to come a day early to help us.
Okay.
Regarding the use of the selectmen's room, which I have no issue with, I think that's a great idea. Mrs. Brady, sorry to put you on the spot. Do we know if there's any other board? I don't think so, because I help with the meetings calendar, but there's no conflict. There's not already something else in here, is there?
I don't think
believe
so.
on May
I don't think so
Absolutely
either.
check.
Okay, we'll just double check, because,
Great.
but I think it's gonna be fine, and I
Great.
think it's a good idea. And we're happy that you wanna have it here, of course. I have no other questions. I got the correspondence you gave. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask, regarding the mosquito spraying. I believe the Board of Health was looking into just making sure there was, yep, I'm sorry, Selectman Goulart.
This was just a late add-on to our announcements, and we will read this once more tonight. One of the questions that we had was, when is the spraying going to take place? Because the concern is that people, quite frankly, walk these grounds all hours of the day and night. And also, early in the morning, we have a gentleman and his 2 daughters that walk as part of the walking club. We know that Bristol County Mosquito Control pesticide or whatever they spray, all they ask is that you not be outside during spraying hours. We did have somebody get sprayed, if for some reason at 3 in the morning, they happened to be out walking a dog and they got sprayed. They were not adversely affected per se, but the concern that we had was, and the reason we asked the questions was, on the slim chance that somebody might have an allergic reaction. So this is what the Board of Health found out. Bristol County Mosquito Control will spray the area behind Town Hall, including the field, on one of the following dates: May 29, 30, or 31. The actual date is dependent on weather conditions. The spraying is to be in preparation for the Aggie School graduation on May 31st. Please avoid the area behind Town Hall from midnight to 7 a.m. on these dates. So we're basically letting the public know that please don't be out walking or whatever on those dates, just so that the spraying can be done and it'll dissipate or do whatever it does, so that at the event, hopefully, we won't have any allergic reactions.
Great.
So that was the last thing we had. That was the last thing we had, that we had a question on.
Yep.
And that was, so Mr. Pies did speak to Bristol County Mosquito Control, so.
Great.
You are very nimble. You navigated this bureaucracy within days, and my hat is off to you. We'll be in contact because you'll probably teach me a few things. But again, thank you for navigating that bureaucratic system, and we look forward to having the graduation out there. Did anybody else have anything public?
The other thing that was mentioned today, while we were on our field trip to New Bedford, there will be some kind of sign posted, or what was suggested by Mr. Aguirre and was discussed with Mr. Ferry. They will probably block off the access to this back of this building during that time period with some kind of notification that there will be spraying and that we do not want people out there walking. So there will be some kind of a sign, and I don't know if they're going to put up horses or what. But just for the people who don't hear the announcements, the ones that won't be reading it on the website, there will be something out there during the time period when it's potentially going to be sprayed.
Okay.
All right, so we just let you know that ahead of time also.
Sure, and we'll forward it to our school community if you let me know.
Absolutely.
Great.
One last thing, if there are any Dayton residents at Bristol Aggie, this is for you, Mr. Braggart, who are 18 years of age, who live in the town, just gently let them know that the Right to Farm article is on the warrant and we'll be going to town meeting with that on June 4th. Pass along that message. Thank you. Anything else, Selectman Goulart?
And that also attached is the Agricultural Commission.
Absolutely.
So these are important articles that will be up for vote, and it's at the middle school.
Nancy, on that spraying, I worked for 20 years for Bristol County Mosquito Control. I'm the person who did spray this all those years. They start, not me now. At 2 in the morning, the spray must be completed before sunrise. Legal sunrise, or whatever it is on the calendar, that's when it has to stop. If you come in 5 minutes after they're gone, there's no residue. It's the mosquito spray gets the mosquitoes that are flying. If there's no mosquitoes flying, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Olin.
We haven't heard of any adverse reactions. As I said, the only concern we had was there seems to be more things that create allergies, especially if there are children. And so we just wanted to tell people ahead of time, don't use the facilities during this time period. And so.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Braga, and
Thank
we look
you.
forward to being there on.
All right, so that's a yes for both?
I'll be there.
Yeah, excellent, perfect.
We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Excellent, thank you
Sitting in
very
these
much.
chairs.
We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
You too, Mr. Braga. Thank you, Mr. Olney and Ms. Wilkins. All right, so before moving to public input, we also are going to have a discussion regarding the powwow, proposed powwow for June. And I know you were going to speak to the Board of Health. Thank you, sir. If you just identify yourself.
Yeah, my name is Don Maydugiki Silva. A little bit about myself, I'm Chippewa from the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewas, and I've got over 20 years of experience as a chairperson with the powwow committee, and I had a really good teacher, and hopefully I'm a good student, but my teacher was Lee Maddox, White Wolf. He's one of the co-founders of the Dayton Council. This is not a Dayton Council event. It's always been separate from the Dayton Council. This is a Native American powwow, and it's the honor to get the sobriety and promote sobriety and hopefully teach people the use and abuse of alcohol and drugs. And it seems to be a big thing about drugs today, so hopefully we can get the message across. I have the signatures. I get just about all of them signed except for 2. The fire department, he's been busy. And I gotta get yours next sometime, but I seen the Board of Health with the food permit. They made all the qualifications to get a permit. And hopefully, you know, I've never had any problems in the past, but hopefully we don't have any sanitation problems. We will have 2 regular bounce houses and a handicap. And
Do you mean Porta Johns?
Porta Johns, I'm sorry, we used to call them bounce houses. Anyways, and we'll get the word around that, that we will not have that problem like there has been in the past, that they need to use the Porta Johns. And we won't have any sanitation problems. I never had it in the past, but it happens. Anyways, I had 2 requests. One was if we could use the water, if we could hook a hose up to the back of the building and use the water. We have in the past, and we just kind of took it for granted. Well, I did, took it for granted that we could just do things have changed. I know I have to go to certain channels, and so that's why I'm making that request here.
And what was the second request? Use water.
I
Was it only one?
Electricity for the PA system.
oh yeah, the PA system, yeah.
Selectman Goulart, what do you think about are those reasonable requests based on your experience?
In the past, yes, in the past, before we had the problem, when the powwows were held, there was a hose available to them, and that relates to the food truck and And the other thing is we did allow them to hook up electricity for use only for the PA system. The problem developed was, the camper was hooked up and running off of the town's electricity, and that was not what was originally agreed to. That was a problem. But what Mr. Silva has requested is, in fact, the hose for the food truck to meet the health code requirements that the Board of Health has imposed, and also the electricity for the PA system. And I'm comfortable making a motion to approve Mr. Silva's request that they be allowed to have a hose hooked up and also to use electricity for the public address system only.
All right, I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion? Mr. Silva?
I did, now that you mentioned the campers, and now I wanted to discuss that. And it was a question about that when I had the signatures with the building department. The campers, the people that camp are the ones that travel a distance. And in my experience in the past, they've been very respectful of the area. They kept it clean, and they left it the way they found it. And some of the people that come to the powwow travel a great distance, and so it's a convenient for them to be able to just set up a little tent and sleep on the side of the track, in the back somewhere.
I personally have no issue with that, and I understand.
The only thing that the building commissioner said, because he said he signed off with a note, and the whole thing was related to making sure that each unit had its sanitary facilities, or if somebody is actually really tent camping, you're going to have porta-johns there.
Right.
So that they can have a sanitary disposal area. The Board of Health and probably the building commissioner, depending on who's available, will do an inspection. So you're already told ahead of time what you have to comply with. And the fact that you've got the permits, that's good. When they do the inspection for food and that, they just want to make sure that the food truck is operating within the guidelines. And they will inspect to make sure that there is sanitary facilities either in each camper, or if somebody truly is sleeping under the stars, will have access to the porta-johns.
And I also need to mention that there will be hand stations to wash the hands. And inside the porta-johns, there are hand sanitizers.
Very good.
So hopefully we'll cover that area and everybody uses them.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. We did give you a tentative agreement for the powwow based on your discussions with the Board of Health. It seems like you checked all the boxes. Madam Administrator, do we need to give the full approval, or since they got the permits, now it's approval?
Correct, now it's
Automatic.
approval, and then these two additional requests, which
Yep,
you're
which
all
we
set
just
with,
voted on.
yes, so,
Yep.
that's it. And Selectman Goulart covered anything that I had to say, so we're all set.
You're reading all the minds tonight. Thank you, Selectman Goulart.
I'll tell you about the field trip.
Well, it looks like we're going to have a powwow in June, so that's fantastic. What I wanted to tell you before you left was I consider it to be a great honor that you want to have it in Dayton. So I really look forward to you and the tribe starting back up this tradition.
Great.
I look forward to that, and thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
There are a lot of people that are glad to hear that you're coming back. People had asked me about, what's the chance? I said, chances are very good, because we told him what was required, and I know he's already working on getting approval. So I said, barring something unforeseen, I think you're going to see the powwows back in Dayton.
Yeah, we make it a yearly thing, like it wasn't a
It
bad.
means a lot to a lot of people, so thank you very much.
White Wolf would be proud.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Silva. Did you have any final words? Anything else you wanted to say?
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome.
Is it open to the public, by the
Oh,
way?
yeah, I'm sorry, yes, it is open to the public, and it's free, no charge at all, so hopefully everybody can make it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the dates again?
The date is June 16th and 17th,
June 16th.
Father's Day weekend, and what a way to celebrate Father's Day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We look forward to it. And
Take care.
Have a great rest
Okay.
of the evening.
You too, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So just to reiterate, I'm not sure if the public heard, we will be having, or they will be having the powwow on the dates of June 16th and June 17th this year. So the tradition is returning to Dayton. Good news. At this time, let's move on to public input. We have Mr. Berkwin and Mr. Higgins present. Is there anything you wanted to let us know? Have you been watching at home? We did a bad job. Okay.
No, you're fine.
Mr. Chairman, I have something.
Sure.
Good to see you.
For anyone who may be a state retiree, county retiree, municipal, I received this email bulletin, and this is from the State Retirement Board. So whether you're a member of the State Retirement Board or the Bristol County Retirement Board or some other Chapter 32 Retirement Board, this was the message that came out. Retirees targeted in phone scam. Members of the MSERS, that's again the retirees group, should be on the lookout for individuals contacting you by telephone posing as employees of the State Retirement Board and requesting immediate payments of money. Members have reported such calls to the State Retirement Board over the past week. The caller informs the family they owe money to the State Retirement Board and that it must be sent through prepaid credit or reloadable cards. That's a clue right there.
I was just gonna say.
In order to receive their pensions. Similar activities have previously been reported by other retirement systems across the country. Please note that State Retirement Board staff will never randomly call members of the retirement system seeking immediate payment of money in this fashion. The initiation or changes to benefits are always preceded by written communications from MSRB with instructions and information. If you receive any calls, please contact the State Retirement Board immediately so we may discuss it with you. We may be reached at 617-367-7770. Reports of calls we have already received have been forwarded to the Massachusetts State Police for investigation. So this is just a heads up. This information will be here. If you get any strange calls, don't send them anything. Just call the State Retirement Board and report it so that they can have the state police add this to the list. The other thing I wanted to mention was, I'm sure I'm not the only person who remembers the loss of the submarine, the nuclear submarine, the Thresher. This is a book that has come out very recently based on research on why the Thresher was lost. You don't have to be a technical person to understand this. It's written both for the techie, but also in the back there is a summary. The research and the data in this book pretty much dispels the Court of Inquiry's explanation for the loss of the USS Thresher, and somewhat also to the loss of the USS Scorpion. But anyhow, I want to thank the Dayton Public Library. I'll hold this up so you can maybe focus on it. I want to thank the Dayton Public Library for acquiring this book. It was not available through the sales network. The only place there was one available was the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, and they would not lend it. You had to pay an $18 fee to borrow it. So it's not an expensive book. But I want to thank the Dayton Public Library for getting the book. Again, if anyone is interested in either nautical history or the Thresher, I always found that interesting because I was horrified when I heard it on the news about this ship being lost, and I want to say in a millisecond. But anyhow, I will be returning this to the library. It's only 40-some pages, but I got to tell you, they aren't 43 pages filled with data. There's a lot of space in here. So, again, thank you, Dayton Public Library, and if anyone's interested, it will be there tomorrow.
Thank you, Selectman Goulart. Very
Welcome.
much. Okay.
Yeah, it's just I'm just curious. Is it just a limited print? Is that why there's some premium on it being lended?
The book is only, the price is like in the $20 range. Why? When the library got it, they said to me, this is very technical. And I said, I looked at it and I said, not really. This gentleman, Bruce Rule, who wrote it, is an acoustical engineer and has been involved with the military, that's been his career. And a lot of the research he did was based on that acoustical, and what you hear when certain things happen. And that's why he was able to disprove a lot of the accepted explanations. And if nothing else, the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard in Kittery, Maine, the workers there were blamed for the loss of the Thresher. Now, it's been 50 years. Most of them have passed on. But this book also refutes it was not an error they made in construction. It was not. So not only does this now give you more information about the loss of the Thresher, but it also, unfortunately, the people that were accused of being part of the problem have passed on, but their families know about the research. So why it's not available, I read about it in the newspaper, about this book being released, and so I contacted the library and asked if we could get it. And as I say, you don't have to be an acoustical engineer to understand it, and if all you want to do is read the summary at the back, it's easy to understand. But
That's
in any case,
fascinating. Thank you. I better get my name in,
USS
because now there's
Thresher.
going to be a waiting
You get
list.
it on Amazon anyhow, if you want to know.
Sure.
I'm sure you can, but as I say, don't buy it, it's here.
I know.
Well, there's going to be a wait list now.
There's only one copy.
I'm going to put my name on it.
I mean, I just, I was just so happy that the library said that they were willing to get it, because when they told me there was only one available and you had to pay rent to borrow it, I says, that's ridiculous. I'll find out where I can buy it. And then they got back to me and said, we've got the book.
That's great.
And Jocelyn said, do you want to look at it? And I looked at it, I said, this is not so technical that ordinary people that aren't acoustical engineers can't understand it, all right? But I found that very, very interesting.
Great work for the library. That's great.
Very good.
Very good.
All right, before we move on to the town administrator's report, we have some influx of public. Mr. Rhines, did you have anything you wanted to say this evening?
No, I would just say this, I'm happy that the Board of Selectmen made the decision to allow the powwow back behind Town Hall. It's been a fixture in town for over 30 years, and I know that Mr. Silver personally, and they are very respectful, and they will leave the property as they see it. So I'm very happy that it's back. And I know that the residents and many other surrounding communities want to attend also, so
Thank you.
it's a win-win for the town.
Thank you. Mr. Thibodeau? Nothing? Okay. Well, we'll address your concerns in the next block with the TIF board. Mr. DeRosa, do you have anything?
I'm late, I apologize.
No.
I had a terrible day today.
Late for our meeting?
For, was the soil meeting, is that?
The public hearing is
Leave
next
early.
Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So you didn't miss anything.
Okay, no.
You're just a little early.
All right, that's good. Actually, I know we mixed up the dates, because I think that we said the 23rd, and I wasn't sure if it was tonight as well.
We had another meeting about a different matter, but yeah, the public hearing will be next Wednesday at 6 for the soil board.
Sure.
All right, but you can stay if you want. Oh, yes, Mr. Ryan.
Sure, I'd just like to comment also that I know the agricultural school is going to hold their graduation at the College Case Pratt Memorial Field, and I'd like to ask the residents if they're around that weekend or that evening, please, if there's room, come down and observe. We won't be able to sit down on the bleacher area because it's going to be reserved for the families and such, but I think it's going to be a great event for the Auditorium.
Were you in the room when I read the announcement about the spraying for mosquitoes?
No, I was not.
Okay, well, just briefly, Bristol County Mosquito will spray 3 days out, or, let me think, 31, 30, 20, depending on the weather. And we have put the word out that people should refrain from using the track, let's say from midnight until daylight, just to give them a good block of time. And Mr. Aguirre and Mr. Ferry said what they will probably do, just to get the message to people who might not hear this or read it on the website, is they will have some kind of, I don't know if it's horses or what, but some kind of a barricade indicating this area behind Town Hall is closed when that spraying is to take place. So anyone that's coming down in the evening will see that. And so it's not that we feel that the spray may be dangerous, but we're concerned about an allergic reaction because there are so many allergies nowadays. So anyhow, plans are in place to take care of that.
Could we possibly make a posting on cable TV for that specific day to notify the residents who do watch cable?
Yeah, we can talk to
Yeah,
cable.
yeah, we've got it attached here, a scribble note that I wrote,
We
so.
can send the announcement to cable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no worries. That's a
Mr.
good idea.
Aguirre and Mr. Ferry thought that some kind of a barricade, and I'm thinking a horse or something on either end, just so that people will see it and understand that spraying is going to take place, just to avoid any, problems.
All right. Mr. Pacheco, did you have anything you wanted to share?
I know you're going to mention it later, but the Dayton Historical Society is going to have a plant sale this Saturday, 9 to 2. I understand it's going to rain, but we're still going to hold the plant sale, and we'll have different varieties of plants, and receive some donations from some of the greenhouses in the area as well as people members.
I did send out an email about it, so.
I did see it, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Before we move on, I just wanted to say to you, Mr. Rhines, that Mr. Braga had a lot of nice congratulations to give to the Parks and Recreation Commission, but you weren't here for that, so I just wanted to let you know that good work on that, and he was very appreciative, so thank
It
you.
was a pleasure to work along with the Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you. All right, Madam Administrator, your favorite part of the night, Town Administrator's Report. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I've previously discussed about a policy review board and a Tif review board. The policy review board came about because we were going through that policy manual and came upon, discovered basically that we really do need to incorporate the unions in this specific set of policies. So you voted to create this policy review board. I have 4 members. I'm still waiting on 2 unions to give me their nomination for who would serve on this board to represent their respective union. But I am here asking that you appoint the following to this newly established policy review board. So it would be myself as town administrator, Jocelyn Tavares, the library, another pro for Jocelyn tonight. She is going to represent the non-union personnel. Representing the fire department is Lieutenant Chris Reddy. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy and Jocelyn.
Representing the police union is Officer Chris McGann. Again, thank you very much. And representing the clerical union is Carlene Bork. So it's nice to see somebody other than in 2 cases here, other than the union e-boards or something, stepping up. It was nice to see. So I just request that you appoint them.
And so when we have the other 2 members, it would be an odd number, it would be 7, correct?
An odd number would be 7. I suppose I shouldn't
even,
vote
yeah,
because I'm number 7, but I suppose I shouldn't because I'd be crafting the policy.
But you would be representing the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
So if we're not on it, then someone should be. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like even if yeah, you should. I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
Do you have any input before we potentially
So
vote?
who are the 2 you're waiting for?
Dispatch and communications and highway.
Have you spoke to either Mr. Paul Reed or
I emailed
Ms.
them.
Teresa Costa?
I emailed them both, and then on the dispatch communications, I asked Carlene, just, can you pop around the corner and let me know, and she said she'd get back to me, so. I'm not actually ready to move on this until after town meeting anyway.
I know.
But just to get this going, and then I can work on that.
We'll have more time after town meeting to actually think about policies. Okay.
How do you want me to designate you, your status on this committee? Advisory?
Yeah, yes.
Like a liaison?
A liaison.
Like
I mean,
you are on the
I'm,
Emergency Preparedness Committee?
I view my role as to gathering the input, crafting the policy, explaining some things, getting their perspective, and then bringing it here as a draft. So I think a liaison is totally appropriate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the following individuals be appointed to the Policy Review Board. Jocelyn Tavares, representing non-union personnel. Christopher Reddy, representing the Fire Department. Chris McGann, representing the Police Department. Colleen Bork, representing the Clerical Union. And Town Administrator Mallory Aaronstein as the liaison to the board, non-voting member.
Yes.
Perfect. I will step down and second that motion. Discussion. I think this is a great idea. I just wanted to piggyback off the idea for a moment and say that it fits in line with some feedback we got from the Finance Committee through our budget discussions. So it sounds like we're on the right path.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you kind of, taking charge on this. So thank you very much. Anything else, Selectman Goulart? All right, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Good work, Town Administrator Aaronstein.
Thank you. Similarly, we have a Tif Review Board. The function of this board would be to, first, I think, establish criteria for businesses looking for a Tif if you make it. Different variations on what we, the town of Dayton, are willing to consider to go forward, because it is quite a bit of work. So making a decision on whether or not the TIF would be appropriate. And for those who don't know, what TIF stands for tax increment financing. So it's a little bit of a tax break to inspire businesses and job growth. So the idea of doing this was to sort of be an advisory board to the Board of Selectmen. All of the TIFs would eventually go to town meetings, so the public has their vote, but it helps us get our ducks in a row. So my recommendation, were FinCom, a member from the Finance Committee, myself as a town administrator, and a member of the Development Industrial Commission. The assessors we checked in with, and I sort of see them as this mandatory check-in. We need to just run everything by them. They need to talk about and discuss what the valuations would be of any proposed development or a building, what the materials are. So we need their input regardless. But the Finance Committee nominated Peter Roach. The Development Industrial Commission has not yet voted, but their meeting is on Monday, and they are expected to provide me a nomination. It's my fault, I got my Mondays mixed up and jumped the gun a little bit on this. So I really only have Peter Roach and myself to offer up as nominations to this board. But since we're talking about it, I know that you had wanted to make sure that everyone knew we were going forward with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the public understands we are well aware we need business in town.
Yes.
Now, one last question before we move on, just because I know we're going to discuss this after the Development and Industrial Commission meets, and then they have someone that they're going to recommend for appointment to this board. But I know on emergency preparedness, you're a liaison. You're now a liaison for the Policy Review Board. Do you want to be a voting member on this? Like, what was your intent?
I'm still good with being a liaison here, but I think I could be a voting if that's how you're, because it's smaller. I would like to be a voter one.
Two, so if they didn't agree.
And then we had also talked about a member at large. So I haven't heard from anybody, but we didn't really market that. So if we wanted to have a member at large weigh in, please send me an email.
When I send out the mass emails about the events in town, I can add that to the list of, we need a volunteer for, X, Y, and Z board.
Maybe somebody from the business community.
Exactly.
That would be great. That would be great. Good idea. Did you have anything else? I think we can, if it's okay with you, Selectman Goulart, I think we can wait to vote on the TIF review board until we get that recommendation from them,
Right.
hopefully Monday or two. We can put it on the agenda for next week.
Next week, sure.
Expecting that they're gonna appoint somebody. I
And
spoke
again,
to
that was
Chairwoman
my-
Piazza, yeah, and I think they're gonna be discussing this on Monday,
Yes,
so
on Monday.
they should have a recommendation. Good work on
Yeah,
that
Mr.
as
Chairman,
well.
I'll make a motion that we delay appointing representatives to the TIF Review Board, and that we put this on the agenda for next week's meeting.
I'm gonna step down and second that motion. Discussion? Sure. Mr.
Well, maybe
DeRosa.
getting some businesses in town on that board as well.
So that was the member at large
Are you
statement.
volunteering?
Yeah, Mr. DeRosa, we have an entrepreneur in the crowd.
All right,
All right, well, there we go. Member at large.
you're in.
Send us an application. No, I'm just kidding. All right, that's great. See what happens when we have discussion. Any further discussion? And thank you, Mr. DeRosa. Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Motion passes.
To be continued.
To be continued next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. Old business, and again, I'm going to yield the floor to you on this because I know you had been in touch. It's update on open space committee member absence issue, and as I understand, you had been in contact with Chairwoman Bidlack from the committee, so what did you find?
So I actually reached out to the member who explained to me that he was having, just some circumstantial things that were preventing him from getting to the meetings. He explained that he was having some intermittent service with his email, and he wasn't even aware of some of the meetings. So I indicated to him that my recommendation would be we basically give him a second chance. I've actually communicated also to the chairwoman and asked her to contact him by phone if she wouldn't mind. She did tell me that the meetings are fairly regular. It's the first and third, I think she said Thursday, but it's like the first and third week, whatever the date is.
Whatever, they
So
follow
it
the
is-
planning board.
Yeah, so it's Wednesday. So, they meet fairly regularly. She has been submitting everything by email to schedule it, so she did agree to call him. They had a meeting today, he was here. I
Correct.
saw
I heard
him.
that
So,
as
my recommendation is to not assume that it's vacant, and it's a...
So there's actually
empty.
nothing we need to do because
Correct.
it's just going to be business
just
as
an
usual.
update.
Before we do move on though, was there anything you wanted to add about that?
No?
All right. So let's move on to new business, and the first piece of new business this evening is to vote on the location of the annual town meeting and the special town meeting.
So we requested that it would be the high school, but we were a little bit too late to the party. So it is at the Dayton Middle School. And I do believe it was discussed last week about a sound capability and microphones, and we've been in touch with cable, and they're going to take care of that for us. So on that front, we're all set. So Dayton Middle School, 6 PM and 7 PM.
I might be jumping the gun on this, but I do have to ask, if the numbers of attendees that particular night exceeds whatever the capacity is of the auditorium at Dayton Middle School, what are we going to do?
So I have two courses of action. We immediately call the fire department to get somebody there first, not crowd control, but make sure that the building is safe. But I do need to speak with members of the school to talk about what I call an overflow room, and then if it's possible to have audio shuffled over there so that people can still participate. If that is the case, town meeting would need to elect a secondary moderator, so that there would be another moderator in the other
In the
room.
overflow
In the
room.
overflow room.
Okay.
Has the town ever experienced anything like
I was
this?
just gonna ask you.
The
something
alternative is we schedule the meeting.
For when we can have it at,
We can get a
The high
large
school.
enough facility.
okay. Do you have
I don't think
input?
we've ever had
Yes,
to
the
do
microphone.
that. I don't think we've ever had to do that.
Sometimes that's what happens in Swansea. We end up going-
Believe me, overflow would be a problem we would welcome.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were there.
The capacity of the middle school auditorium, I asked about that today, and the building commissioner said it's approximately 300 people.
Oh, it's more than I thought. Okay, I thought it was 250 or 225.
No, because I said about 300, I think we could get 300 in there. So,
So should we be exploring a different date?
No. We're just gonna hope we don't need an overflow room.
I think
Or maybe
we
have
should
a
be
plan B.
prepared that if in fact the capacity is exceeded, and the decision is made to put the meeting off, we should have a date ready and a place ready, a backup.
And notify everybody?
Would it,
Because we'd have to announce it that night.
would it be another Monday, like June, what would it be, 11th, or?
I believe, is the candidate's night. So that's.
Sue was around here, we'd have to go through
You're
the
right.
posting requirements, I believe.
So that's why I asked, because we need to post it tomorrow for the June 4th date, but if we are actively going to look for another date, that changes our requirements.
So so it looks like the earliest we could do it if June 4th is a wash would be June 18th. Can you look into that date?
If you stayed with a Monday.
Yeah, I think we should because it's always on a Monday. What do you think?
Yeah, isn't that what the bylaw
I believe it
requires?
is, yeah.
We're okay, June 18th is fairly late.
There's no, I mean, it's only gonna get later.
Oh, because the bylaw, we have to do it on
Yeah,
Monday.
so
I was
that
gonna,
would be the first Monday that we could have it if June 4th.
In all honesty, I do not see the moderator allowing an overflow with a second moderator. I just don't see that happening.
Oh, we have a strong moderator, apparently.
well, and that's fine. I haven't spoken with the school. I don't know if there's a room nearby. And we can't do it on like a Thursday and look for a different, no.
So I would look into June 18th, 2018 for the Dayton Regional High School.
Is Sue still around, does anybody know? Because she came in here.
She had a jacket.
She's leaving.
Was she going to do something tonight? Is that why she came in?
Was she gonna sign the warrant? That's the only thing I could think of.
She said she was gonna come back tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
She doesn't need to sign at the same time.
That's
we
the
do.
question where you're waiting, or
Sure.
is it out of order?
No.
How about, they've had events, you know where that Holiday Inn, like that Taunton Center there, where they have trainings and stuff?
you had to get special permission
I
to
know,
go
I
out of
just-
town.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's not even in Dayton. We don't have
When
a
they-
You ever had
hotel.
this problem before?
No, because we've had the regional high school, but when the town of Rehoboth wanted to go to the regional high school,
Right.
because it's not located in Rehoboth, they had to get permission to hold it, if you will, out of town.
Yeah. Wow.
What happened, Mrs. Brady?
Sue's gone.
Okay.
Is there
All right. Well, I think we should look into June 18th, 2018 at 6 PM for the special, 7 PM for the annual, just in case, so we have a backup date, and then see if the high school is available. And then if not, see if the middle school is available, although that we would be in the same problem, exactly.
The football field.
Out back
So
at
is that-
town hall.
I just am worried about our posting requirements. So we're gonna try to keep June 4th?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
All right, so
Work
are
everything
we ready to vote on the location of the current annual town meeting and special town meeting that's scheduled? All right, I'll accept the motions.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the location for the annual town meeting and the special town meeting to be held on June 4th at 6 PM and 7 PM respectively, be held at the Dayton Middle School.
And I'm gonna step down and second that motion. Discussion? Anybody? No? All right. Anybody else? All right. Hearing no further discussion, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Next on our new business agenda is to place articles on the special town meeting warrant. This will be the meeting that occurs at 6 PM on June 4th. Thank you.
So there are only two, I mean, I know this says four, but the first was to hear reports of the town officials and act thereon. That's a safety. The second is to pay prior year's bills. The total, there's two different bills. The total is $708.50. The third article is to fund, if you remember, there was a miscalculation on behalf of Dayton
ER
Rehoboth,
assessment, yeah.
and we owed extra that we weren't we weren't billed for, I guess. So it wasn't voted at last town meeting, so we would be voting it now.
Sure.
The town accountant has reviewed the way this is worded and provided input, and this passes.
Is the
muster with
finalized
her.
version? Okay.
This is finalized. I did send this over to town council today, but where it's this very small amount of articles, I think he would have no issue getting back to us by tomorrow.
Okay. We don't have to read this, do we, Selectman Goulart?
You should.
Okay. All right. Bristol SS. To either the constables of the town of Dayton in the county of Bristol, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Dayton qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet in the Dayton Middle School Auditorium on Monday, the 4th day of June 2018 at 6 p.m. Then and there to act on the following articles, viz. Article 1, to hear reports of the town officials and act thereon. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash funds in the treasury a sum of $780.50 to pay prior year's bills as follows. July 28, 2017, Planning Board 175-70 in the amount of $572.50 to GZA Geo-Environmental Incorporated for services rendered. September 28, 2016, transfer to Police Details Agency account number 890-250-000-251-0-8600-40, a sum of $208 to fund a deficit created by an overpayment to officers for hours not worked or act thereon. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds a sum of $3,053.68 as a correction to the capital assessment for Dayton-Rehoboth Regional School District for fiscal year 2018 to be placed in expense account 5690, or to take any action relative thereto. Article 4, to act upon any other business that lawfully may be introduced at said meeting. And you are directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at each of the post offices, at the town hall, and at the main fire station, all in said Dayton, 14 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting as aforesaid. Given under our hands this 16th day of May in the year of our Lord, the 2018, and of the independence of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the 242nd. Board of Selectmen, Brett R. Zografos, PhD Chairman, Nancy J. Goulart, Clerk, and there's also a place for Town Clerk Medeiros to sign, and then the Constable to sign, posted as directed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the warrant for the special town meeting as just read.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion. Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Thank
I
you.
love that language, hereof and fail
Yeah,
not.
I don't know how I said
Make
it
due
correctly.
return. Sounds threatening. You better do it or else. Old English.
All right. Let's move on to signing the special town meeting warrant, which we just read. Do we need to vote on this? We just, Can we just
sort of
sign it?
just did it in your previous motion.
yeah, that's what I thought. So we're just going to sign this. Do you have some sort of a special copy? Can we just make any of these
This
a
is
copy?
special copy. Do you
Okay.
want 2 copies original?
2? Okay. So we'll sign 2. Thank you, Madam Administrator. Thank you. You sign that one, I'll sign this one, and then we'll trade. Thank you, public, for being patient. Thank you. We have a stray pencil. Okay. Thank you, Selectman Goulart. And thank you, boss. You're welcome. Okay, next on the agenda this evening is to sign the annual town meeting warrant.
If I may, Mr. Mr. Chairman, I just want to
Absolutely.
commend Mrs. Brady for her incredible dedication to this warrant. So thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you. We wouldn't trust anybody else.
As if they're lining up to take
So I believe we already went through the articles either last week or the week before. Here you are, Selectman Goulart.
We had some, we didn't read all the warrant articles. We
We
read
just read
the
the
special
bylaws,
bylaws.
yeah.
And I'm not saying we should read all these numbers, but there were questions about a couple of other provisions,
Mm-hmm.
like the CPC funding, and I think we ought to make those known that they are in the warrant.
Sure, I'm okay with that. I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, Selectman Goulart, I'm gonna allow you to read whichever ones you deem necessary this evening.
Okay, I'm just gonna basically skim the financial parts. Town of Dayton Annual Town Meeting Warrant, June 4th, 2018. Bristol SS, to either of the constables of the Town of Dayton in the County of Bristol. Greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Dayton qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet in the Dayton Middle School Auditorium on Monday, the 4th day of June 2018 at 7 p.m. Then and there to act on the following articles, viz. Article 1, to hear the reports of the town officials in the Capital Outlay Committee and act thereon. Article 2, to authorize the Board of Selectmen to appoint all necessary town officials and town committees not otherwise provided for by statute, or act thereon. Article 3, to act relative to establishing the salaries of elected town officials for fiscal year 2019 in accordance with the provisions of Section 108 of Chapter 41 of the General Laws of Massachusetts. This next section is salaries for Board of Assessors, Board of Selectmen, Tree Warden, Moderator, Town Collector, Town Clerk, Town Treasurer, Planning Board, and Sewer Commissioners. And I can tell you that they reflect an increase of 2%, with the exception of 2 departments where there were other increases that were voted by the Board of Selectmen. The next one's Article 4 is to see if the town will vote to raise by taxation or to transfer from available funds the appropriation necessary to defray town charges and assessments as considered by the Finance Committee or act thereon. Now, this starts general government, and all of these numbers, this includes town meetings, that's a separate appropriation, the moderator, Board of Selectmen, town administrator, Finance Committee, all the way through reserve, so forth, and so data processing. These are all the individual departments and/or functions that get voted on. And that is the classification under general government, which also includes the building insurance, printing of town reports, all of that type of information. The total amount requested was $1,529,808.86. The Finance Committee recommendation is $1,513,708.41. So there's a difference there, and that will be explained at town meeting. The next group is public safety, police, fires, plumbing, ambulance services, animal control, harbor master. It's still the disaster committee. That's the emergency preparedness committee. This is called total public safety. The budget requested for next year is $3,543,023.49. The recommendation in total from the Finance Committee is $3,528,033.25. So there'll be an explanation, again, for the difference there. The next department is education, and this includes Dayton Rehoboth, Bristol Aggie, and Bristol Plymouth. The total requested and the total recommended are the same, and the number is $10,770,270. The next section is highway, and this is the highway department, the snow and ice control, electricity for the Berkeley-Dayton Bridge, street cleaning, stormwater expenses. Total amount requested is $955,372.99. Finance Committee recommendation, $945,869.31. Obviously, there'll be discussion on that one. Waste collection and disposal. This is under sanitation. The request and the recommendation are the same, $582,841.04. Other environmental, this is the cemetery commission and the expenses related to town cemeteries. The request and the approval by the FinCom is $19,700. The next section is human services. Covers the Board of Health, the Council on Aging, the Primetime Program, Veteran Services. The total requested is $445,188.96, and the recommendation of the Finance Committee is $438,488.96. The next section is Culture and Recreation, which includes the Public Library, Parks and Rec, Town Historian, Historical Commission, and the Cable Commission. Total requested is $346,398.96, and the FinCom recommendation is $325,079.96. The next item is debt service, and we have maturing principal on long-term debt, and we have interest on long-term debt. And the recommendation and the request are they're the same. It's $425,287. The next section is employee benefits, which includes retirement pension contributions, workers' comp, group health insurance, group life insurance, employer contributions for things like Medicare and OPEB, and we have a line item for tuition this year. The total request for that employee benefits is $1,821,383.12, and the FinCom recommended that. The next department is liability insurance. Budget request $139,700. Finance Committee recommendation $127,000. So in total, what has been requested is $20,572,174.42. And what has been approved or recommended by the Finance Committee is $20,499,661.05. So if you want to start now with the articles.
I'm going to read, starting from Article 6. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to approve the following sums to be expended under the direction of the Board of Sewer Commissioners for the maintenance of the sewer enterprise for fiscal year 2019. Direct costs, salaries, $108,151.26. Expenses, $176,800 even. Capital expenses, $25,000 even. Indirect costs total, $44,933.87. The above appropriations will be funded as follows: $300,000 through sewer receipts and $54,885.13 transferred from sewer enterprise retained earnings totaling $354,885.13. Article 7. To see if the town will, pursuant to MGL Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, as most recently amended, establish fiscal year limitation on expenditures from the revolving funds established by the Town of Dayton General Bylaws, Section 36, Departmental Revolving Funds, with such limitations for fiscal year 2019 as follows. Revolving Fund. Trustees of the Dayton Public Library, copying, faxing, and printing services. FY19 spending limit, $5,000. Trustees of the Dayton Public Library. Fines and monies collected for overdue, lost, or damaged materials. FY19 spending limit, $8,000. Revolving Fund Council on Aging Board. Fees, charges, and receipts for services rendered by Primetime. FY19 spending limit, $150,000. Article 8. To see if the town will vote to authorize the town treasurer with the approval of the Board of Selectmen to sell at public auction and further allow the Board of Selectmen to sell through the sealed bid process according to MGL, Chapter 30B, Section 16, all properties which the town has legally acquired by tax title or take any action relative thereto. Article 9. to see if the town will vote to authorize the town treasurer, with approval of the selectmen, to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue of the financial year beginning July 1st, 2018, in accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 4, and to issue a note or notes thereof, payable within 1 year, and to renew any note or notes as may be given for a period of less than 1 year in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 17, or take any action relative thereto. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds from Mass Department of Public Works for fiscal year 2019 for the purpose of expending funds for capital improvements of local roads under transportation bond issue, Chapter 90, $300,511 even, or take any action relative thereto. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to grant the Board of Selectmen the authority to obtain whatever parcels or easements as necessary to make changes in grade, take land by purchase or eminent domain, and to settle damages from land taken in conjunction with highway maintenance or road or bridge reconstruction projects, or take any action relative thereto. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen, subject to the approval of the Finance Committee, to dispose of used items returned to them by sale to the highest bidder, or take any action relative thereto. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to make changes in grade, take land by purchase or eminent domain, and to settle damages from land taken in conjunction with the fiscal year 2019 highway program under Chapter 90 and the town road improvement program, or take any action relative thereto. Article 14, sorry, I lost my track. To see if town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $18,500 to be expended by the town accountant to perform an audit for fiscal year 18, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends raise and appropriate $18,500. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $13,500 to be expended by the highway superintendent to purchase 2 complete snowplows for use by Dayton Highway Department, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends free cash, $13,500. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $32,140.65 to be expended by the police chief for the purchase of 1 fully equipped police vehicle, including Kenwood Cruiser radio, split face, cable, Bluetooth, radio antenna, and accessories, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends free cash, $32,140.65. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $52,636.27 as the 10th year payment on the Rescue Pumper 10-year lease program, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends free cash, $52,636.27. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $331,000 to be expended by the fire chief for the purchase of a new ambulance and any necessary accessories, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends $50,000 free cash, $281,000 ambulance fund. Total, $331,000. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $70,000 to be expended by the fire chief to purchase a 2018 Chevrolet Tahoe SSV 4-door utility vehicle, Car 1, and any related accessories, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends capital stabilization, $70,000. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $12,500 to be expended by the Parks and Recreation Department to pave the North Dayton Playground basketball court located at 0 School Street, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends free cash, $12,500. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or borrow a sum of money to purchase 949 Somerset Avenue, Assessors Map 5, Lot Number 31, or take any other action relative thereto. Finance Committee does not recommend. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of $68,500 to be expended by the Board of Selectmen to conduct an environmental land study of 4 lots located at 0 Elm Street, Assessors Map 20, Lot Number 106, Map 17, Lot Number 164, Map 17, Lot Number 129, and Map 17, Lot Number 131, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends free cash, $68,500. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from free cash a sum of money in the amount of $5,000 to be expended by the Emergency Preparedness Committee for the purpose of purchasing folding cots and other related sheltering items to restock the Dayton shelter and emergency dispensing site, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends free cash, $5,000. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the PEG Access and Cable Related Fund the amount of $58,000 to be expended by the Cable Television Committee to purchase new equipment for the control room and install the same for recording live events and meetings, or take any action relative thereto. Finance Committee recommends PEG Fund, $58,000. Selectman Goulart?
Article 25, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or borrow a sum of money in the amount of $1,114,195 to defray the costs and expenses of the installation/decommission and utility hookups for modular units for Dayton Elementary School in the ensuing fiscal year, or to take any other action relative thereto. Finance Committee does not recommend. Article 26, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money in the amount of $20,000 to be expended by the Building Department to fund multiple municipal departments in scanning and digitizing their files for archiving and public transparency purposes, or to take any other action relative thereto. We don't have a FinCom recommendation on that one. Article 20.
I'm sorry.
They
It was
did
free cash
recommend
last
it.
night. It
Yeah.
was free cash.
Okay, so Article 26, the $20,000 has been recommended by the Finance Committee, $20,000 from free cash.
Thank you for catching that.
Good work, Selectman
Okay.
Chi.
Article 27, to see if the town will vote to appropriate or reserve from the Community Preservation Annual Reserves in the amounts recommended by the Community Preservation Committee for the committee administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and other expenses in the fiscal year 2019, with each item to be considered a separate appropriation. Appropriations from FY 2019. Estimated revenues for the committee administrative expenses, $5,000. Reserves from fiscal year 2019, estimated revenues for historic resources, $9,000. From FY 2019, estimated revenues for community housing reserve, $9,000. From FY 2019, estimated revenues for open space, $9,000. For FY 2019, estimated revenues for budget reserve, $58,000. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the Community Preservation Open Space Reserve, $25,000, and $58,000 from the Community Preservation Undesignated Reserve Fund, and accept the sum of $207,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Department of Agricultural Resources, for a total of $300,000 to purchase a parcel of land containing 20.6 acres owned by Kenneth and Darlene Arujo. Said fund to be expended under the direction of the Community Preservation Commission for expenses associated with purchase of an agricultural preservation restriction approved by the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources located at 1996 Elm Street in Dayton, Bristol County, Massachusetts, and shown on Assessors Map Plan 17-A, Map 17, a portion of Lot 115, Lot 126, Lot 127, and Lot 128, such restriction to be recorded at the Bristol County Registry of Deeds, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to accept an agricultural preservation restriction on said property in accordance with statutory requirements or take any other action relative thereto. I have a question on that. The wording, where it says Commonwealth of Mass, Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, Department of Agriculture, total of $300,000 to purchase a parcel of land. We're not purchasing the land.
I actually just underlined that as you read that.
We're purchasing that preservation restriction. We need to get,
I took that directly from another town's article that they had written.
my concern is that
We're not.
what we did, what the Conservation Commission did was they actually purchased a piece of property that's part of the Council Oak too. We aren't really purchasing land, so I'm concerned about this.
We'll have to ask the attorneys about that. That's what I would say. I would ask Kay and Dave what their opinion would be on that.
Well, may I ask what the intent was? Was it to purchase the land, or was it to just impose, I guess, this agricultural preservation restriction?
To put the API on the land, to impose the restriction.
The current owners will continue to own the property. It's the development rights that'll never be able to be developed. And we've actually had one of these before, so Gay and Gay should be able to advise us quickly.
That's how I understood it to be, what you're describing. So it is within your purview to reopen this warrant, allow us to amend this based on town council review, and we can make the change for tomorrow to post it in time.
Okay.
And then you close the warrant again.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we reopen Article 28 to clarify the wording.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Because the following sentence conflicts with the one above it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Article 29. I'm glad we're reading these. To see if the town will vote to appropriate from the Community Preservation Historic Reserve Fund $25,000 and $18,000 from the Community Preservation Undesignated Reserve Fund and $2,000 from the Dayton Historical Commission Segregated School gift account for the deletting of the Segregated Schoolhouse located at 1092 Somerset Avenue, map 9 lot 2. Said funds are to be expended under the direction of the Dayton Community Preservation Commission or take any action relative thereto. My only suggestion in this article is there should be a phrase that says for a total of. Because we've got funds coming from two of CPC, and we've got the money coming from the school gift account. So I think after it says, located at 1092 Somerset Avenue, Lot 2, no, before that, after school gift account for a total of, and it would be those numbers added together.
It should say, it should read not to exceed that amount.
For a total sum not to exceed.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we open up Article 29 for rewording for clarification.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes.
Can I just backtrack for a minute, just a second on one of the other articles that you read in regards to what article should read, not the annual fund, but the undesignated reserve. which would
One of the
be-
previous ones I read?
Yes.
So it would be Article 27, the kind of allocating into the buckets one?
Yes. I have to look at it to read it myself.
This is the D-levy, this is the APR, and this is the...
Can you hear that noisy clock again?
Should put an article on here to buy a new one.
Oh, so we're all set, it's all set, we're all set. Okay.
What's that? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. 30, right?
Article 30. yes.
Article 30, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the Community Preservation Undesignated Reserve Fund $8,400 to furnish and install a 100-amp overhead electrical service and furnish and install one Mitsubishi 18,000 BTU single-zone split system at the Segregated Schoolhouse located at 1092 Somerset Avenue, map 9, lot 2, said funds to be expended under the direction of the Community Preservation Commission or take any action relative thereto. I had this question before. What is this thing?
It's a heating system. And what it is,
It's a combo.
you can
Is
have
it,
them on the floor.
is it heating and air conditioning?
Yes, correct.
Heating, air conditioning, dehumidifier.
And you alternate, yes. Depending on what system they decide to go, they may go with a floor model at the school, but I believe the house used the floor model. Let's use a
We
wall
still,
model.
no, we floor model.
Floor model?
Yeah.
Okay, because they do have wall models that you can stick on the wall also.
Article 31, to see if the town will vote to accept the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 64N, Section 3, and impose an excise tax upon the sale of marijuana for adult use originating within the town by a vendor at a rate of 3% of the gross receipts of the vendor from the sale of recreational marijuana, marijuana products, marijuana edibles, and ancillary products, and set excise to take effect on the first day of the calendar quarter commencing at least 30 days after such vote by town meeting or take any action relative thereto.
Selectman Goulart, before we move on, I had a conversation with Town Administrator Aaronstein and Mrs. Brady. I asked them to simply move, on the bylaw part of the warrant, to move the Stretch Energy Code proposed bylaw, as well as the Agricultural Commission article, and the Right to Farm bylaw up, simply because we're gonna have Mr. Napolitano from Serpent present, as well as Mr. Pickering from Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources, and they're already gonna have to wait till Article 32 and 33 and 34 respectively, so I did request those. Do you have any problem with that?
No.
Okay.
So these are going to be renumbered, right? When
Yep.
you move those forward. Right, so the next few articles that we have on here,
Those were the bylaws.
Article 32 is the Stretch Energy Code, which we've read. Article 33 is the Agricultural Commission. Article 34 is the Right to Farm bylaw. Article 35 is the marijuana establishments.
The next one we need to read is 40, I believe.
Oh, this goes on and on
Yeah, that one's the long one.
with a map.
For anybody who did not get to watch us read the proposed bylaw warrant articles, I believe we read them all last week. So the meeting is on YouTube. Feel free to check it out. We did read them. I think we need to read 40. I don't remember doing that one. It's 39 there.
Oh, on the top of 26, is that actually number 36? Because I know there was a numbering thing in here.
Yep.
All right,
It is.
37. I know these are gonna change again, so. 36, we read, that's about making minimal repairs and maintenance to roads that are not owned by the town. 37 is the town administrator bylaw addition. Article 38 is the this is the enforcement article for,
We read that one. I
yeah, we
believe.
did that
Yep.
one.
That's the one that removes the fees specified in the,
Right.
To make it compliant, yeah.
and
To
to
jail.
sync it up with the state.
Exactly.
39 is the proposed amendment. It would create the leash law.
Yep. 40, I don't remember doing that one.
39, whoops, no, wait, it's not 39,
You're
it's
right,
40.
Yep.
40 is, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,600 to additionally fund account 010-022-0000-50-5105, salary animal control officer. Finance committee recommended tabling this item until the fall.
Basically to see what happens with the leash law.
Right. Article 41 was the curfew for parks and playgrounds that we already read. Article 42, this is a non-binding referendum to determine how voters feel about the following issue. Should the town expand the Board of Selectmen from the current 3-member board to a 5-member board? This is a non-binding referendum. It was put on here because a number of people asked about this at the election and following the recent election. When I was asked this, I said I wouldn't propose this except for non-binding because there's not sufficient time to let the people know about this. So this is basically, we're asking for your opinion.
We're gonna have a conversation.
Right.
Mr. Berkwin, of course.
Somebody this is just the other day, they were talking about this, it's funny that you mentioned it. Had this ever been brought up before?
Yes.
And
When I first ran for selectman, against you, Selectman
Even
Goulart, in
further back.
2015,
It was even further
this was a
back.
hot topic back then and even before that.
Yeah.
And my position at that time was either 5-member board or town administrator. We got a town administrator, so, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, we'll see what people think. That's the whole point, so.
When it was brought up,
back then.
whenever, the concern was that the Board of Selectmen and Board of Health had a heavy workload, nothing new. And they thought that by increasing the board by 2 members, it was going to relieve the workload. And I remember speaking against it specifically that 2 more people added to the board would create additional work, especially for the administrative assistant. And that job is overloaded as it is. It would provide no additional help, especially during the day, because most people work. And that we should look at separating the boards of selectmen and health, and we should be looking at a town administrator. Well, it obviously didn't pass back then, and we separated the Board of Health, that was approved, and we hired a town administrator. And as I say, it came up on election day, and it's been mentioned to me since, and I said, I will ask that it be on as a non-binding referendum to get the feel of townspeople and see what they think about it. The people that proposed it said, we don't think 2 people on the board should make decisions that control the town. It's been 3 members since the town was founded, over 300 years ago. And we're over 8,000 people now. And we feel that a 5-member board that would require at least 3 members to vote to approve something is a better way to go. So that's why it's on here.
Does Rehoboth like it? They have.
I spoke to the chairman of the current committee, and he said he personally initially was opposed to it. He didn't think it was necessary. I think the situation in Rehoboth that changed, or what brought that on, was there were 2 factions on the board that we all read about in the paper. And there was a lot of feeling that it was not, they didn't accomplish all that they should have because of what had occurred, because there were private interests. And depending upon which faction was in power, somebody's private interests were addressed and others were not. But anyhow, he told me that after it happened, he's really comfortable with it now because it brought new approaches, it brought new opinions, it brought different thought processes, and he really felt that since they've had 5, the board has worked well together, and they've gotten away from that, taking care of people, take care of your buddies, or whatever, favoritism. So that's what he said.
And we'll continue this discussion at the town meeting.
Thank you.
He's also the person who strongly recommended that when we, yes, definitely separate the boards of selectmen and health, but go with an appointed board, not an elected board. And I did make that motion at town meeting, and we did get the appointed board. And he was again speaking from experience in Rehoboth.
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Article 43, to see if the town will vote to accept the gift of the Nathaniel Crane House located at 130 Center Street from the trustees of the Bristol County Agricultural High School, with the understanding that the house must be moved from its present location at 130 Center Street, and with the understanding that acceptance of the house is contingent upon funding approval or act thereon. And just so the public knows, we're reading the ones that we haven't read before. Article 44, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from available funds in the treasury the sum of $200,000 to partially fund the moving of the Captain Nathaniel Crane House from its present location at 130 Center Street to property owned by the town of Dayton or act thereon. Finance Committee does not recommend $200,000. Article 44 was a petitioned article. It's the Town of Dayton Historic Stonewall Protection Bylaw, which we read last week. Article 46, to see if the town will vote to amend Section 2, subsection 2100 districts of the Town of Dayton zoning bylaw by amending the Town of Dayton zoning map dated June 1st, 2015, and which changes thereon the following. Medical Overlay District to include the area at 1901 County Street as shown in the amended plan above, and all as reflected in said plan amendment on file with the Town of Dayton Town Clerk's Office. Article 47.
I'm sorry, can I just make a comment on that? There is a zoning map included in this warrant because it's referenced by the Medical Marijuana Overlay District bylaw.
But it's
This
earlier.
zoning map, what's that?
Isn't the one earlier?
It's earlier on.
Yeah.
The zoning map referenced under this was not included with the petition, and I just don't want people thinking that it's referencing that zoning map. Just a
Thank you.
point of clarification.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. Okay, Article 47, to act upon any other business that lawfully may be introduced at said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting as aforesaid. Given our hands this 16th day of May in the year of our Lord 2018, and of the independence of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the 242nd Board of Selectmen, Brett R. Zographos, Chairman Nancy J. Goulart, Clerk, a true copy attest Town Clerk, posted as directed Constable. And so that's it.
Now, just a comment to everybody again on Article 46. This was the one for Alice's restaurant, the plaza there. The only reason this is here is because it was brought by petition. They did not get the required number that they needed to reconsider at a special, but they did get more than enough to have this on the annual town meeting warrant. My understanding is that the zoning board has no intention of supporting this. It's just that it was brought in and we don't have an option not to put it on, so that's why it's here.
Given the fact that we opened that one article, are we going to sign this still? And then you'll just change the wording around and insert?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Is it one or two?
There's two, the two CPC articles, one dealing with the APR.
I marked this one up because I had to change the numbering.
I marked mine up. Okay, well, if you move.
Oh,
to
we just
sign-
can only sign we only have to do the last page,
I
yeah.
have a note on mine, but.
Mine's marked up though.
So if you move to sign it before you leave here tonight, I will make sure that you have a fresh copy to sign, and we'll be all ready for tomorrow.
I'm accepting motions.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the warrant for the annual town meeting dated June 4th, with the exception of Article 46, which I move should be stricken, and that we are authorized to sign it tonight.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion?
The reason I'm asking that Article 46 be stricken, and I will read it, to see if the town Sorry, wrong article.
I read that one. I just read that.
It's Article, I will amend my motion, Mrs. Brady. It's Article 37, and I will read it. To see if the town will vote to amend Article 4, Section 3 of the general bylaws by adding the following language. The town administrator shall serve for a term of up to 3 years. The incumbent may be reappointed by the board as many times as the board determines. The town administrator shall receive compensation as the Board of Selectmen shall from time to time determine. The town administrator shall function as the town's chief administrative officer and shall perform the functions and duties as the Board of Selectmen requires. The primary duties of the town administrator shall be the day-to-day administration of the general government. He or she shall be responsible for communicating and implementing the policies of the board to all town departments. The town administrator shall not have the powers to appoint department heads or negotiate their compensation unless delegated to do so by the board. First of all, I want to state that I did advise my colleagues today that I was going to oppose this article and ask that it be removed. And if it made the agenda, the warrant, I would oppose it at town meeting. The reasons being that the first part is covered by state law. That's the term of the up to 3 years for the town administrator. And it's also covered in the contract that we have. As far as the duties and the functions and all this, I feel it's covered in the contract and the job description, and I did say that as we look at this, I am certainly willing to open the contract again with the town administrator so we can discuss things that need to be tightened up, because I agree with her. There are some things in there that need to be tightened up, and I don't think a bylaw is the way to do it.
I'm okay with the bylaw being in there. So I'm not gonna vote on that. I'm okay with keeping the town warrant exactly as it was presented this evening. Public, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, as a member of the public, right? Are you okay with this in there, just as a resident of the town?
What brought this on?
I have no idea. The town administrator sent it. My feeling is this board has a good working relationship with town administrator Aaronstein and respects the position of town administrator. My concern and why I support this article staying in is simply because if you get a board down the road who perhaps wants to change the contract or amend certain duties or things like that, this sort of enshrines her position as the day-to-day administrator. And I think that if the people vote for this, having that support from the people, this is like saying this is what the people of Dayton think the duties of the town administrator should be. And so, in my opinion, it just enshrines what the contract that we have with town administrator Aaronstein says.
So, Nancy?
I didn't think of it from that point of view. But that reinforces what I said. The first thing about the term, the law says 1 or 3 years. It's state law. The Board of Selectmen's got to pick one. This doesn't guarantee a 3-year appointment. There's only very few positions in town that would carry that kind of, a town accountant's another one. You can appoint up to 3 years. It's covered by state law. The other thing is that going down the road, I really don't think we should tell a future Board of Selectmen that they don't have the authority to negotiate. That's the key word, negotiate contract changes. I don't know who's going to be sitting here in 3 years, 4 years, whatever, next time. And I have said this from the beginning. I don't believe a sitting board should go back and undo stuff that a board did as long as it was legal and it was not causing a detriment to the town. But I also feel going forward, I don't want to impose things on future boards because the job, no matter who holds the job, is a negotiated contract position, and there is a job description. And we have talked about that. And I agree there needs to be some changes. The contract with the town administrator was not negotiated by this board. It was negotiated by one member of the board. Yes, we approved it, but I also think going forward, in fairness to the town and the person who holds the job, the Board of Selectmen that the person is employed by should be the ones that negotiate this, okay? So that's my thought on this, but I don't want to impose anything on a future board because it's a negotiated thing, and they can negotiate whatever they want.
I would agree with most of what you said. What I would say is, all that this, if this passed, please correct me if I'm wrong, all that this is saying is, the people of Dayton recognize that the primary duties of the town administrator shall be the day-to-day administration of the general government. If that's enshrined, my whole point is, what board of selectmen would come along and not let the town administrator do the day-to-day duties of administrating? That's the whole reason we have a town administrator.
Right, and that's spelled out in state law also. There is a description in the law of the town administrator. There's three of them. Was it the executive secretary, the town administrator, and the town manager? And they're all distinct. We chose town administrator because of the definition of the job, as it's covered in the definition that is, so to speak, on the books.
I feel like the argument that you're making tonight, Selectman Goulart, is a little bit having it both ways, because on one hand, you're saying we need the board to retain flexibility to change her contract, and on the other hand,
No,
you're
negotiate.
saying... on the other hand, I'll finish, you're saying that this is already enshrined in state law, so if it's already enshrined in state law, what's the big deal with having it on there?
There's no reason to restate it. State law prevails.
But there's no harm. So it's fine. We would just be congruent. So I'm okay with keeping it in there.
The problem we have is this article can't be in here because you say no, and I say I want it out, you say you want it in.
Well, didn't we already vote on these?
Voted to place items on the warrant, which is why they're here.
So I'd have to
Exactly.
change my
Already been-
vote?
Right. They've already been placed on the warrant, so you'd have to vote to open up the warrant, remove something.
And then I'd have to change
and then-
my vote to get it out?
Yes.
No.
Question on the floor.
Sure, Mr. Thibodeau.
We ask the town administrator what her thoughts on changing.
Absolutely.
concerns
Thank-
with her contract.
Thank you.
So
Madam Administrator, you have the floor.
my contract states, under duties, the town administrator shall perform faithfully to the best of her ability such duties and responsibilities as shall be assigned by the board and including without limitation those set forth in the job description which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. To Selectman Goulart's point, there was no job description included in the contract when it first came about. So one of the first things I did was bring to this board a job description. We had a whole conversation. The reason I put this in here, and it's part of it to do with the advertisement that came out from MRI, that the town administrator position was not memorialized in a job description nor a bylaw. This town doesn't have a charter. I put it in there for the people to give a response on the role of their town administrator. This does not make me a strong town administrator, not me, but the position, a strong town administrator position. It leaves flexibility to the board to continue to negotiate contracts with not only the town administrator, which is the first paragraph, but also any other department head, unless they choose to provide it to the town administrator. I don't really have thoughts on that, but I'd like to keep the flexibility with the board. I also put this in because we did meet and convene and agree on a job description. And as time crept on, there were items in the job description that I took under my wing that I thought I would be doing and came up against a little resistance, so it wasn't ever spelled out or clear. So I can appreciate what you're saying, I understand both sides, this is here, and it's in your hands.
But to
And whether-
clarify, to take it out, we would have to open it up, and then I would have to, what do you call that?
You have
Prior
to-
precedent? You call it, there's a word
Oh,
for that.
prevailing way, the
Prevailing
member
way.
who voted in the prevailing way.
Yeah.
I mean,
I stand
both
by
of
my
you
vote.
voted in the prevailing way, so there could be a motion to reopen it, but if there's no second to reopen that,
Okay.
reopen the discussion, it doesn't get reopened. Does that
So
make
we
sense?
got a motion on the floor.
I seconded it
That's
for
been
discussion.
seconded. All right, so you gotta call a vote on that motion.
Yep.
And then we gotta I'll make a motion to open this up for, what do we do with, what did we call the other one? Well, those are gonna have corrected language.
Okay, so I'm confused. You have a motion on.
And that was to
The
sign
motion
the
is to
warrant.
strike it.
Yeah, to strike set
The rest
37.
to approve the warrant with this stricken and to authorize us to sign it.
All right, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Wait a minute. It's aye to strike it. You said you didn't want to do that. Strike it means
To
remove
take
it.
it off of the warrant is the question.
I said I would vote aye because my motion is to remove this from the warrant. If you say aye, it's going to be removed. And I just want you to understand, is that what you're planning to do?
No, I want to keep this in there.
So you got to vote nay.
All right, which I was about to do. Nay.
All right, so I will make a motion that we open this up, I guess, for further discussion or reconsideration or something.
The whole warrant or just that
No,
article?
just this article.
I'm done discussing it.
So there's no second, so the motion dies.
Yeah. Can we still sign this?
No,
Well, now you need another vote
We need a
on whether
motion
to
to
sign.
no, the motion was to approve the warrant with this article being stricken and to authorize the board to sign it. That was the motion, and it didn't carry. So we can't vote to sign it because we have, we're dealing with a situation. It's a tie vote, in effect.
Well, I think you could do another motion just to sign it without the second. That was a two-part motion.
Yeah,
So
just sign it as is.
that's the motion that
No,
you
because
make.
then
But
that
if that's
will
not
go-
what Selectman Goulart's
That
going
will
to do.
go to the town meeting, and I'm saying, I don't think this should go to town meeting. I really think first of all, we got permission to hire a town administrator, we hired one, we set the salary, the contract was issued, and a job description was negotiated, agreed upon, whatever. All of that's been done, it's in place. The first part of this is covered by state law. The second part of it, what I'm saying is, whether it's the job description or the description that is listed at the state level for a town administrator with the duties, so forth and so on, plus the contract, plus an approved job description, which all parties, 3 selectmen and the town administrator agreed to, covers everything. And as I've said, I agree that there are some things in there that need to be, let's say, not negotiated, edited. I'm certainly willing to do that. If you will remember, when the night we voted on the contract, there was some indecision on the board because I had insisted that there be a clause in that contract that allowed flexibility. And I had discussed that repeatedly with the then chairman. And finally, he said that night, I don't really know what you want, but go ahead. That flexibility clause was very important. And we passed it. There was nothing else brought up that, and I'm the one that insisted on that, because the concern was that a future board could come in and make all kinds of changes and insist that the town administrator work more than the 40 hours that were required. And I said, no, this does the opposite. This allows the town administrator to manage the workload, to do the work within 40 hours. And quite frankly, if the town administrator needs a day to work from home because she needs the uninterrupted work time, this will allow it. That's what flexibility is. That's what we passed. I don't see that by eliminating this particular warrant article, anything is lost to the town administrator. There is no particular benefit to the town of Dayton in this. And again, any changes in the job description and/or the contract, it's just something that the board would negotiate and doesn't go to town meeting. I mean, that's just, and quite frankly, if she chooses, or future town administrators, I think we need to sit down and talk about some things in the contract or the job description just do it. This isn't, this is
So
just
may
that simple.
may
I
I
think we
ask a
should let the
question?
people decide on this.
I agree that I think it should go to the people, but I'm willing to compromise. I would like to sit with you, Selectman Goulart, specifically on a variety of things in the job description. Would you be willing to do that with me?
Absolutely, I said that today.
But, I mean, like, you and I to work things out, and then it would
Absolutely.
obviously be voted. But not the
Absolutely.
contract. The contract, what you're alluding to, I think, is some random things, like my evaluation takes place on May 31st. Well, that's silly.
Yeah.
But, I'm specifically speaking about the job description, because there were items placed in here that were agreed to, and then discussion continued. And I really just want to know what everyone thinks the job should be, and I want to do it, and I want to do it well. So
At
that's,
last night's finance committee meeting,
yes.
when you spoke up, I sat there thinking, they don't understand what her job is. Because at that, if you were there, you remember, the impression that was given was, now that we have a town administrator, why are we adding some hours for staff here and some hours for staff there? Like, she should be doing this, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you don't understand what the workload is. And I'm thinking to myself, this needs to be clarified, absolutely.
So,
Are you saying?
I am saying that
your
if-
compromise is this discussion and you'll remove Article 37?
well, I'll rescind it, but I ultimately defer to the board, but I would like just to have the opportunity to sit down with Selectman Goulart and hash out some of the things that I've been feeling about the job description, and just get it out so we know where we all stand, I just want to know exactly what the job expectations are and do them and do them well.
I
That's all my goal
absolutely
is. So if you will sit down with me, Selectman Goulart, I'm fine taking it up.
Absolutely, no question at all, because I have said to you from day one, one of the hardest things you're gonna have to do is manage what they're throwing at you, quite frankly, all right? And that was the term. Because I've been around long enough to observe what goes on and who does what, and I look at this and I keep thinking, it just keeps getting piled on. The same thing has happened with our administrative assistant. It just keeps getting piled on, and I'm thinking, whether it's burnout or I give up, I can't handle this, it's not the way that you do these kinds of things. You have to look at a manageable workload. Yes, everyone has rush times, and there are times when everyone gets buried, but you know what? You have the ability to manage it, and that's why I said the flexibility is important, okay? But there's no question in my mind that there is an impression out there that when we hired a town manager, all of a sudden, there wouldn't be extra work, there wouldn't be extra costs. One of the things I pointed out last night was because we were discussing Board of Health, and they wanted to know why she wasn't picking up some of that. And I'm thinking, there's a whole bunch of Board of Health stuff that the Board of Health isn't getting right now. I'm doing some of that stuff at home, because I don't have time to do it here, and I can work uninterrupted. But it's not the kind of stuff you dump on the town administrator either. So I totally agree, and yes, I will absolutely meet with you, and we will put together something that we can pass on to Selectman Zagrafis, and that
Ultimately vote.
then we'll sit down together, because he'll have input also on whatever you and I discuss, and then we can sit down and just make the amendments. I think that's the best way to go.
One question, if I could throw it in there.
Sure.
On your procedures, because of the untimely, we lost a member.
He's still alive, Mr. Brooks.
I didn't mean to pass away, but I mean, left the job.
Departure.
Sorry
Untimely
about that.
departure might
Got
sound
that
worse.
misinterpreted. Does the town clerk, in the chain of command, step in, per se, if there's some kind of a tie-breaking thing?
I believe-
In the parliament? No.
No.
As long as you have, in a three-member board, as long as you have two members, you can conduct business. Now, if something were to happen to one of us before we have an election, or, the Martians came down tonight and lugged us both away and there's no Board of Selectmen, town clerk by state law is the continuation of government, steps in. And Sue actually told me there was a period of time that she had to sign some payrolls. And I don't know if it was because it was only a two-member board, and it just so happened that both members were not going to be around to sign payroll, which, as you know, you've got to sign payroll. So yes, Sue told me she's actually done it, because there were concerns about how fast you're going to get somebody elected and what's going to happen. And I think we know that The last time we had not 2015, before that, when somebody left the board, 2 members stayed. They didn't call a special election. And it was only when Mr. Tanis got elected in 15 and then resigned that in September, because they had like 2.5 years to go, they called the election. It was the resignation prior to that.
Well, someone asked me from the public, it was just something I was going to ask you guys when I saw you next time, you folks. The town clerk, let's say the chairman was on vacation, and they needed someone to come in.
It's only when there's one member, and
Well,
then she can come in
she
and
can
sign
step in.
documents
She would
and
have
things
the
like that.
authority. There are rules in place for, and we do have to get along
We
with
have
it.
to, yeah,
But there
this
are
is
rules
all-
in place for her, like Selectman Goulart in this case could step up,
Mm-hmm.
make executive orders on behalf of the town to keep it running, and then everything would fall into place.
But
and
we don't have to
we'd
worry
get
about
by.
that, 'cause
But
we have two
everything's
members.
fine and there are no Martians, yeah.
I'm just curious, I'm just curious as to why 6 months into her position,
Yeah.
when we're talking about a job description, I cost system.
We're not talking about her job. I'm talking about the
The job
bylaw.
description's in place, I should be clear. This job description's in place. It was voted January 17th. My point is that some items that are in here, I have been met with some resistance. And I'd like to just sit down and hash this out in the interest of moving along, posting for town meeting, and bringing everything I'll back down. It does not a big deal to me. I just want to do a good job. So I'm going to sit down with Selectman Goulart, we'll work it out, and life will continue in Dayton.
It seems like it's going to compromise by two ways to really fund townspeople.
I agree too. Yep.
It sounds like it's just major clarification on job title, making sure everybody understands her duties and what she's supposed to do and what their duties are. It sounds like people are trying to allocate responsibility in different directions that should be going where they're going. I've dealt with enough employees over the years to understand this in multiple countries. Trust me, at least she speaks English, so this makes it easier. Interpret it, deal with it.
I gotta tell you, even one phrase in here,
There's parts of that need to be struck. I fully agree, Nancy.
be
Selectman
responsible for, no, that's not it. Primary duties shall be the day-to-day administration of general government. What does that mean? That's subject to interpretation. It's better to have a job description that states the town administrator shall be responsible for the following, whether it's functions, operations, duties, spell them out. And I will say this too. I'm not saying that the job description that was agreed to isn't working. What I'm saying is, number one, we've never had a town administrator, we never had anyone work in the job that says, you know what, there's a problem here. And I think that by going back and sitting down and going through it and say, okay, here's the problem areas, these are the things that need to be smoothed out, that need to be clarified, I think this is the right way to do it, because your contract is 3 years, I think, just a hair short of 3 years. If there's things in there that can be negotiated now and ironed out and smoothed out so everyone understands this is what the town administrator is responsible for and this is what that person does, it's not going to be 3 years of whether it's resistance or, well, what does that mean? Or that doesn't mean that, or this is my turf, okay? So I think that the willingness of the board and the town administrator to say, let's take a look at it and let's iron out the rough spots now. And we may do this several times during the next 3 years. But we're all working through this, and I just think it's a good opportunity.
We need to move on. Mr. Rhines.
Wouldn't it just be just as easy just to go to town meeting and not have anybody act on the article at the town meeting and just table it, motion to table, and that would take care of it?
I've been saying
It's
keep
not
it on.
guaranteed that it would be tabled. And it, again, there's phrases in here that are open
If I
to
was standing at the town
interpretation.
meeting, say motion to table, and he's the second on the floor, it was-
Well, no, because
I'd
since
prefer
that
to just
happened
keep it
at
in.
one town meeting, when
wanna
there was
keep
an
it in?
instant motion to table on an important article and it was allowed, I know that town council did speak and say that when there is an important article up, that in a motion to table immediately to prevent any kind of discussion or anything should not be allowed. And the person making the motion will be told, I'm not going to accept that right now. I will accept a motion so we can have discussion. And then a motion to table will be in order. So I remember that happening.
Well, would you, because you have problems with specific phrases, is that what's holding it up? Could you just amend it right now, do what you did for the two CPC
No, my
articles?
feeling is it's covered by state law, and it is also covered by what is on the books, so to speak, at the state level, on what a town administrator does. It's already written. There's no additional benefit to the town of Dayton to have this on there. And I don't think there's an additional benefit to the person holding the job, because regardless of what this says, this is open to interpretation. What really counts is the job description and the contract. And we know that the majority of all of that wording is acceptable. We only got to iron out some bumps. I don't see, again, I told Mr. Zagrafis and Mrs. Aaronstein ahead of time that I would object to this. And I was willing to sit down and discuss it. This is not a blindsided thing at all. But I feel strongly about this because it doesn't benefit the town of Dayton. And I don't want to tie the hands of future selectmen.
I think it's best to let the people decide what the benefit to the town of Dayton will be, which is why I'm still supporting keeping this on there. Mr. Pacheco.
I just wanted to add that I appreciate the town administrator willing to negotiate with the school lot, but I just would ask that the board not take any action on that until you have a full board. That whatever is negotiated, that's brought back to the three-member
You mean if
board.
we do the job description
If that's what's going to happen.
renegotiation?
That'd be a three-member board that makes that final say on it.
And I'm good with this job description that was approved and all set. I want to make sure everyone knows what this entails. So that's all. And honestly, I like to compromise. I can respect Selectman Goulart. I know it's new. I've only been here for 5
You can
months.
disagree and still respect it.
Exactly, and that's where I'm at, but I'm willing to compromise, and I want to talk about it with Selectman Goulart and really, have a real conversation about
But
it.
I would never speak for you, especially with you sitting across from the table. Here's why I support this. A, I think the people determine what the benefit is to the town of Dayton. If they don't think it's beneficial, they'll tell us. Believe me, they're not a shy bunch. You obviously felt that this was important enough that you put it on here. And that's why I'm going to support it tonight.
Thank you.
End of story.
Thank you.
Mr. Thibodeau.
If you're that concerned, right, you can always put this off to the fall, there are some other items that we put out, so that negotiation discussions go on, what the titles are, wait till you have a three-member board so you guys can discuss it, everybody will be happy.
By the same token, I don't see a reason to put it off to a town meeting. I really think it doesn't belong in the warrant. It's not about her benefits. It's not about her duties or anything else. It leaves things open for interpretation that I believe should be further clarified either in the job description or the contract. Both documents can be opened and amended. It is what is in those documents that is important, okay? And that has, again, the negotiations didn't take place between the board. It was one member of the board who met with the town administrator and came back with an agreement, okay? The job description was added later. It all can be amended. The whole thing is, what she's looking for is clarification in writing. This is what the town administrator's responsibilities are and duties and so forth and so on, okay? This does not provide that. The day-to-day administration of the general government.
We could just even put, or anything else stipulated in the job description. I don't understand,
But that's the problem. The problem is there is language in the existing document that needs to be clarified. We didn't take the contract or the job description to town meeting. We got permission to advertise, we got permission to negotiate. You and I didn't get involved with negotiations. But the fact of the matter is, town meeting did not approve the documents that she is working under. What she's saying is there needs to be clarification. This article doesn't do it.
Well, I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time and do this, and then also reassess the job description per whatever, suggestions you might have. Yeah, Mr. Pacheco.
I know maybe we can tell once, but you didn't negotiate, keep on saying you didn't negotiate, but you did approve it. Does that make sense? Not necessarily everybody.
We approved whatever was negotiated, correct, Mr. Pacheco. Which is why I stand behind the job description. But I admit, as things, like as you settle in, things might And I agree, you should have flexibility. All I'm saying is, this doesn't preclude that, and both of them can gel, and I still think we should let the people think.
This is not an article that, number one, it conflicts with what's in place, it's vague, and it's gonna create more problems. A solid document approved by the Board of Selectmen, who was authorized to negotiate, and as I said, no, we weren't involved with initial negotiations. The town administrator questioned why only one member of the board was involved with negotiations. That's past us now. What we know is there is something more than, there are some things that need to be clarified further. Now there's two members of a board that are willing to do that. I can sit with her, we'll go through it, we'll come up with whatever it is, and then it will go to our colleague for him to look at and say, how do you feel about these things? But I really think, based on the authority that's been given to us as selectmen, no, we didn't negotiate the first time. But you know what? If there's problems, we can open it up and we can get it all resolved.
The only slight issue I have with what you just said, Selectman Goulart, is that the process you just outlined is the exact process you're saying wasn't fair the first time, where you had one selectman negotiate it, then it comes back to the whole board, so.
No, that's absolutely not. If Mrs. Aaronstein and I sit down, it's not gonna be like the first time.
It's also not for negotiation. I want to essentially have a heart-to-heart with Selectman Goulart about
Clarification.
what we're doing here in Dayton. That's it. That's what I'm looking for. So if that means, because I feel like you're not going to sign the warrant if this is on here, and we can withdraw it. We need to have town meeting. I want you to sign the warrant, and we can work out what I'm having issues with.
But can I ask,
Yeah.
I hate to put you on the spot, I'm so sorry. But your preference is for us to sign the warrant with Article 37 there.
I think my preference is to have town meeting on June 4th. So I am willing to do this. I think it would benefit. We've only known each other for 5 months. It will be a bonding experience. I mean,
And I think, quite frankly, the other thing is, we haven't worked together in 5 months.
What's that?
We have not worked together in 5 months, simply because all of the workload that was given to her and all of the priorities that were set were given to her by the former chairman. Mrs. Aaronstein doesn't know, for the most part, what I'm working on. I would pop in and say to her, by the way, I'm working on the stormwater, the Center Street sidewalk, the this or in the data, okay? But she's been buried.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
So we're not as bad as ships in the night, but, you know, she'll tell me things she's working on, you know, or I get them in for the selectmen's meeting. I'm working on stuff with other people, other departments, other whatevers, something came out of the blue today, that field trip to New Bedford. We were in court today, quite frankly. So the first thing I did when I saw her was, this is what happened today, okay? So there's all of these things going on. So literally, we have not worked together.
I don't know if I'd put it that way, but I get your
Can I
point.
just digress for a second?
Sure, and then Mr. Thibodeau.
I want to go back to the warrant article in regards to the CPC. I would like to ask that, if at all possible, that article be bumped up with the APR, because there's going to be a representative there from the Agricultural Preservation Restriction to speak that evening. And secondly,
I'm sorry, before you continue, we have to have that first one with like the distribution of the funds first. So
That's
that would
right.
be moving the whole set, basically.
would it really, okay, but I just want to ask this question again. I'll just preface it as this. I've always been under the assumption, okay, that the town of Dayton, with the warrant that is presented, okay, goes directly to our town council. Has that not happened? I'm getting the impression that it's not happened. And he's not viewed this warrant article to look at the warrant, to see what should be on it, and get some clarification on certain articles that are in there for wording as such. Am I incorrect in saying that?
I believe you are, Madam
No,
Administrator.
it's been sent to him,
He's
or
reviewed it.
them.
Have they reviewed it?
They're actively reviewing it. It's 46 articles.
Now-
It's, I'll admit, we are under the gun here this week with town meeting. It's been a process, it's been a day.
It's been a
It's
month.
been a day. It's there. We're gonna make sure everything's legal. We've got 2 weeks for town meeting, and I've already reached out to Mr. McKeon. I'd like to sit down and talk to him and say, listen, what happens when there's an illegal, what's the process? So we're fine. I looked at them, the town accountant looked at them. Mrs. Brady has experience writing them. The Board of Selectmen have looked at them. It's not like this is, poof, here they are. So
Understood,
it's being
but there
under
may be some
review.
wording that's in there that may get catch-22 in regards to the state laws.
Okay, so
They
if
will
you're,
trip one.
the town administrator bylaw is not a catch-22 regarding state law, if that's what you're getting at.
No, I'm
It's
not
not.
implying that, no.
The one for the CPC, I think, is a whether or not we're going to purchase that land. That's a very
That
large,
Goes back to my question is that
They're under review.
the warrants were put together, should have been sent to the attorneys first, so they
Was.
can review it and then make any changes, come back to town, make changes. If it needs to be changed again, it goes back
it was sent,
to them again.
it was sent.
But they've not made changes.
Well, I haven't received them back, but they know when town meeting is. They know when we have to post
Also-
this. I mean,
No,
we're
no,
doing,
I'm just-
As they're reviewing it, I would assume, correct me if I'm
No, no,
wrong,
I'm just
anybody
kidding.
on the dais,
I only have 6
they will
pages.
let you
I'm
know
just curious
immediately if something is not legal. They're not gonna let you sign and print, you know,
there
a warrant.
are,
But I think we made a good catch tonight. That's
With
very
that,
important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, and if they don't pick it up, they're definitely gonna hear from Mrs. Aaronstein saying, by the way, you didn't mention this one, we have a question about this, specifically about that agricultural restriction. We're not purchasing land.
and I think it's important to denote this,
But the town would not be purchasing to use the land, the Rujos are purchasing the land for their use. And all the town is doing is just putting a conservation restriction on that property, along with the APR, that's what they're doing.
I'm sorry, it's important to denote that though there are a large amount of articles on here, that a lot of them are routine, they come up every
They-
year.
they
So
are.
they've been
It's the
reviewed.
first
The new ones are the
bunch.
purchasing ones, which are easy to write in the sense that you just name what it is that you're gonna buy and the funding source. It's simple. I would say we're in good shape.
No, agreed, but I always ask that question because I don't hold a Juris Doctorate, and I'm sure that there are people in this room that don't hold one either, in order for them to look at and make sure the wording is correct on everything, that's all. That's all.
I understand.
Don't disrespect anyone.
Thank you,
Everyone did a
Mr.
fine
Ryan.
job, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, not
Mr.
only that, but the CPC money has got a timeline attached to spending, so that's really important. You can't say, put it off till the fall, because you got a major problem.
Mr. Thibodeau, there was something you were gonna say.
I have a question for Selectman Goulart.
Sure.
Yes.
Do you have, as a board, have the authority to make changes to the town administrator's contract?
Absolutely.
it does.
If
We're
this board,
signatories to
if
it.
They're
a
my
majority
appointed
of the
authority.
board, absolutely.
Yes.
So there's really no discussion we had, it's a discussion that you sit down, and the board needs to sit down and just make clarification. I fully understand having employees and making sure they do clarification. That's important. Nobody understands where they're at. Because you don't get a guy that's, hey, do this job, you know, and he's passing his work off to her, and he should be doing it. I understand that. So clarification is fully understandable. And I understand everybody's concerned about it.
We're actually looking at the entire Selectmen's office, because as I said, Mrs. Brady has been buried since I came here in 2015.
And I came
And
here
there
the
has
year
been
after.
no relief, I don't want to say no relief in sight, Karen, I don't mean that, but we have talked, different boards have repeatedly talked about, we have got to do something, because it just keeps getting more and more and more, you know?
All right.
Thank you for clarification.
We have talked the horse dead, then back alive, and then dead again, so we need to move on this,
Hey,
so.
we got enough dirt to bury it.
Now we do, ever since we got that. Okay,
That was very sharp. That was very good.
to clarify, and I'm not trying to spur discussion again, really, I promise, this is just procedural now. You are okay, because it is the town administrator position, with us striking 37, and then we will sit with you and have a kumbaya moment. Okay, hopefully a working dinner, just kidding. And reevaluate.
Reevaluate.
Just go over areas of improvement We don't even need
Whatever
to call them
concerns.
changes. Whatever your concerns are
Whether-
and whatever we may have for possible areas
If
of
it's better
improvement.
that we post a meeting and we both sit down with
Oh,
her,
it has to come to
or-
me anyway, so I'm okay
I
with
mean,
that.
whatever.
Mhm.
But I think, I really think that any concerns can be addressed without taking this to a town meeting. I just think
I
that's
would
the
love to
case.
spend my Wednesday evening with you, but we can vote on this. Do you have a motion to make?
It was moved to sign the warrant with that article stricken.
And so that
And you
was
motioned and I
defeated.
never said,
No, you didn't, you took the vote, so we've got to remake the motion.
Yeah, the vote didn't carry either direction, it just died. Do we have to do anything to move articles, to move them up and all that stuff?
If you
Reposition articles?
I would make a motion to authorize us to reposition the articles as discussed tonight.
Okay, I'll do that one first. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we authorize the town administrator to reorganize the order of warrant articles
I'm going to step down as
for the annual
appropriate.
town meeting.
Yep. I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion.
And this will be based on all the discussion we had tonight relative to prioritizing warrant articles because of invited attendees.
So we have a motion, and we have a second for that. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to approve the article with the exception, excuse me, forget that, Karen. Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to approve the warrant for the annual town meeting scheduled for June 4th, 2018, with the current Article 37 to amend Article 4, Section 3 of the general bylaws, stricken, and that we sign the warrant so that it can be posted.
And you don't think there needs to be an amendment about us revisiting the job description and all that?
Oh, I'll do that separate.
Okay. I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion. Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that I be authorized to meet with the town administrator to review job description, contract, and any other items she has that she would like to review, and that will be summarized and presented to you for feedback and for eventual action by the board.
I'm going to happily step down and second that motion. Further discussion. Anything, Madam Administrator?
No, thank you, and,
You're welcome.
thank
All
you. Thank you and thank you.
Hearing no further discussion, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. I hope our
So,
candidates were watching our
Can we sign
lively.
the signature page and all the other changes will be made, is that?
Right,
sure you're running
correct,
in
so
the
as
right
long as the
direction?
signature page is untouched, I guess, it should be. We're redoing the signature page anyway. We're redoing it, that's right.
We have to.
We're redoing it because we have to,
But we've got to sign it, oh, that's the.
We're gonna sign it
I'm gonna
after,
redo it
yeah.
before everyone leaves today and
Everybody-
we'll sign it
When are you giving this to Sue?
tomorrow, but we have many
We're
things
gonna,
take
to
care of.
clarify, we're going to sign this after the meeting with whatever, with an unmarked up, see, we can't use mine because it's all marked up. I'm sure yours is.
Really, it's just a printing,
Yeah,
so
just that
it's
last
fine.
page.
We'll be able to do it. And those will be moved up anyway because we're deleting
Yep.
part.
And I got mine in before we read the numbers.
Can we have just the last page, I assume it'll be page 30, starting with Article 47, to act upon any other business done to, and the signature part.
Right, that's what
Then
we'll do for
however
tonight.
you change stuff around, it's not
Will
gonna
not
affect that
impact.
page.
Exactly.
It's exactly what we're gonna
So
do.
before we leave tonight, we'll sign that.
Yeah, we have
that
to.
page.
Yep.
So that they can get it posted. Okay, that works.
All right. Okay,
Let's blow through this here.
do we need 8E?
8E, no,
Okay, so
no.
We are going to move on to year-end transfer, under new business.
There are 2 year-end transfers for you. The first is a court judgment, to fund a court judgment. The good news is that was funded entirely through the town administrator budget.
Question, just a question on item 8E. Should there be a motion to table that? I don't think we can just ignore it. If we just table it, so that it means we brought it up and we tabled it.
We can do that. We'll just do that
Because we're
to
not
see.
moving it to another agenda. right?
correct.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that agenda item 80, recommendations on annual town meeting warrant articles be tabled.
I'm going to step down and second that. Let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Year-end transfer, yes, so you were
Okay,
saying the
so,
court judgment's
yes.
coming out of excess funds from the town administrator
Right.
budget from the previous fiscal year.
Exactly. So you
Okay.
are the receiving department for this, because you oversee the court judgments. So you will need to vote to approve that. The town accountant has not yet signed, because she signs after the
Board.
department approves it, but I have verified that there are funds available. It is a large sum, but because of I started late in the fiscal year and the salary difference, there's funds extra, so that is to no cost to the town, or further cost to the town.
Thank you.
The others, it's 4 different two transfer forms. This is to fund the special election. With everything going on about it, it was about $1,500. This is printing the ballots, staffing the elections, time spent on registering, or excuse me, they have to be here for certain times to accept papers and all of that. So that's what these 2 are. And thank you to the treasurer collector who is the funding source for that. Both departments and the town accountant have signed off on those.
Thank you.
So those are ready to go to the finance committee.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the request for a year-end transfer in the amount of $3,500 from the benefits health insurance line item to the professional technical line item elections.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that a total of $2,000 be transferred from benefits health insurance to elections, salary clerical, I assume that's clerical staff, and salary election workers, as requested.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes. One thing, Madam Administrator, before we move on to the court judgment,
Yes.
year-end transfer, I don't think we mentioned this we need to mention that, right?
We can't see.
This
which
is,
one.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I'm like,
that's it.
you can't see it? It's benefits, health insurance, $3,500. And then it's elections, professional and technical, $2,300. Do we have to stipulate how it's split up?
I don't believe so. We'll
Okay.
have this as a
Just
public
make-
document.
just
so you
making
can-
sure.
Yeah, you
All
can
right.
say as
Thank you.
transcribed.
Okay, so I'm just going to sign this.
While you're doing that, I'll make the other one, okay?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the transfer of $65,000 from town administrator salary, and I will say the numbers because this is a biggie.
Sure.
$60,100, town administrator professional and technical, $2,567, dues and subscriptions, wow, $1,175, and communications, $1,158, making a total of $65,000. And this is going to be transferred to the account for court judgments, which is 010-0-641-0000-70-5760.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion.
I'd just like to add, it's not that, the dues and subscriptions line for my budget this upcoming year is also high. I did not think it was right to join anything mid-year because they don't prorate the fees, and I don't agree with that, so I'm weighted.
Oh, look at you.
That's why there's funding in there.
Okay.
Good for you.
Stand your ground.
So you had a motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion, Madam Administrator?
No, thank you.
Let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes. And then this is the last one.
That's the painful one.
Better than raise and appropriate, though.
Any way you look at it, it's painful.
That's true. Okay. I'm gonna wait 1 second for my colleague. Take your time, Selectman Goulart. Thank you, Selectman Goulart. Okay, we'll move on to new business G, lease document for Council Oak 2 land. Just one comment, I know we're totally gonna discuss this right now. Should there be additional questions, you may email them to Karen Brady at town. They're never gonna get a response, that's not your email address. It's K Brady.
Okay, so
It's on the second page, but this is just minor, I just won't.
Yeah, this is only a draft, this isn't ready to go. We got a lot more to do on this.
Yeah. Concom will have to discuss. Do we even need to discuss this tonight?
I
or is
actually,
there
I just
anything-
want to say that I
Sure.
think that we really need to loop in the Conservation Commission
Absolutely.
and figure out exactly what we want to do here,
Yep.
exactly what our base rent will be, but in the meantime, because there is concerns about making sure the soil stays in the good shape that it is, that we reach out to one of our local farmers or the Bristol Aggie School and ask if they'll just help us out for this one time while we get our ducks in a row. That's my
Do you have
request or
any qualms
recommendation.
about that?
I got good news. Unfortunately, I don't have it all with me tonight. I reached out to Rehoboth because they rent the Red Plain. I think most people know where that is. It's where the veterans gazebo is. And it's they've got a few departments. Parks and Recs, well, Parks Department controls it, but the good news is, I have a copy of the contract that was between the Rehoboth Park Commission and the lessee for the land known as Redway Plain. She sent me 2 emails. I printed it out, it's at home in the printer. This came in, this came in after that one came in. What she sent to me is the documentation that Rehoboth put together in order to lease the land. Now, they even tell them what they're gonna plant, because it's all grass. But I've got all of that, even this says that they're responsible for the fertilizer and the liming and the seeding and all that other good stuff. And I'm surprised at this. The fee for that is only $600 a year. That seems low to me.
Agreed.
But I realize that the person is growing grass, hay, silage, animal feed.
You can be very precise nowadays.
But anyhow, I will get the rest of the stuff out of the printer and make up packages. And yes, we do have to meet with Concom, because technically it's their land.
Exactly.
The only thing we're trying to do is handle the agricultural restriction.
Right.
So, I think with what I put together here, this was some stuff
And
that...
what was this? I was just curious, because this is only like half a page.
Mallory gave me stuff that she got from the town of Marshfield. Okay, that's another package. I went through that and pulled out as much as I could to come up with this document, because one of the things they required was organic farming, and we're not into that. So anyhow, I came up with the property description and the application, so forth and so on. I didn't see that they had a conservation commission involved, and I almost think that,
They
was
do
this
not.
turned into, like, everybody has a patch of ground and they can plant a
There is
community
a
garden?
community garden,
Yeah.
and they awarded it to multiple farmers, so it's not exact, and
Right.
I just think if I can draft something up.
Well, I think when you
But
see
we
all the
need to
stuff I
act-
got from
Right,
Rehoboth.
I think that's
We
great.
gotta reach out to
Yes.
conservation.
Yep.
I have been contacted by several people who were saying, I thought you were gonna have land for leasing. I says, we're working on it, we'll get it done. And when I got home, after seeing somebody this morning, I had that email, and then I found this one tonight. So I'll put all that stuff together and photo it. So between what we got from Marshfield and what we have from Rehoboth, I think we can put together a document that we can take to Concom, and that they will approve, and that we can get this whole thing going.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, though, can we reach out, will you authorize me to reach out to Bristol Aggie or?
Without soliciting? Is that what you're saying?
Right, there, no money would be exchanged, we just need somebody right now to help us make sure that the soil is okay while we get we fix this, because this isn't gonna happen overnight, so.
I can tell you that I have talked to an abutter, and that is some of the, if not the best farmland in the town of Dayton. There's no question at all, because they farm the abutting properties. And I think if we need any technical advice, Aggie School would be a good place to go.
That's what I was thinking, yep. So you're okay with
Mr. Rhines?
Madam Administrator reaching out? We'll finish this and then we'll get to Mr. Rhines. So you're okay with reaching out to the agricultural?
Yes, and I'd like to sit down with, if you're very involved in this, if we want to do this together and coordinate with the Conservation
Oh,
Commission,
yeah, I didn't mean it like only
Oh, yeah,
one.
no, I know.
We're
but
working
if
together,
we can have
but
this,
we just need
Yeah,
a
if
direction.
she can do that, then I can get the packages put together, and we can come up with something. And the only thing we gotta be careful of with the Aggie School is, if they're a potential bidder, we can't involve
Well,
them in
that's-
the
we have
initial
to put
process.
this
That's
in.
why I'm thinking, wait till I give you the package, and I should be able to do it tomorrow, I should be able to
Okay.
just photo it. And we'll figure out how much of this stuff can we use. Put something together and say, now, do we need somebody to give us technical advice? Because we can get it, quite frankly, also from UMass Amherst, or one of the URI. All we need is somebody who is not a potential bidder.
right,
That would be the only caveat.
caveat.
Mr.
Exactly.
Rhines?
The
Sorry.
Community Preservation Committee received an up-to-date soil report, so I have one and copy at home, that you can make a copy of.
Oh, that's great.
That's
For
great.
Council Oak too?
For the whole stretch of land.
Oh, okay.
The Sampson property.
I'd love to have a peek at that for the file.
Yep, that's good. That's
You
good.
don't mind giving that to
Literally that.
Ms., Town Administrator Aaronstein? When you have it.
Thank you.
All right.
And the good thing is, it's been continually farmed. It hasn't been fallow for any length of time at all.
So that's exactly why I don't want it, just because we're waiting on coordinating stuff, so,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay.
And thanks for your help on that.
No, thank you. Thank you both. All right.
I'm just glad that Helen Denon was able to find this stuff, because it's older than this. This is the update.
Thank you, Town Administrator Denon. Okay, new business H, request from Board of Health to write off old transfer station invoices. Just so the public is aware, I'm not gonna go through each one, there are names, but the total that may be written off this evening after discussion is a sum of $1,682 even.
So I spoke to the town, the tax collector today, and this was mentioned to me because on our field trip today, Mr. Berry and Mr. Pilly and Mr. Aguirre all said, you know what, before you write them off, you should check with the tax collector, because number one, if somebody owes the town money, the tax collector's supposed to notify the building commissioner. They're not aware that there's all these outstanding charges. I've seen the lists. There's some people still living in town.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to move to table this item and to contact the tax collector to discuss this matter with her. But based on what they were saying to me, the three gentlemen, I think it was worth considering. And we saw her as we were coming in the building today, and she said, get me a list. So she's willing to take a look at it.
All right. Well, all you had to say was there's a possibility we might recoup some of these funds. I'm okay with that. All right. I'm going to step down and second the table motion, the motion to table, excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Last, under new business, vacation rollover requests. 1, administrative assistant, Board of Selectmen. 2, administrative assistant, building department.
We're going for time off.
Well, it's a
This is,
vacation rollover, so she doesn't take any time off, which is why she has to roll it over. Do I need to read these, Madam?
No, they're
Okay.
just requesting to carry over time into the next fiscal
Mr.
year.
Chair, I move that we approve the request of the administrative assistant to the Board of Selectmen and the administrative assistant to the building department. They'd be allowed to carry over 70 hours of vacation time into the new fiscal year.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion. I hope you'll take a vacation next year, Mrs. Brady.
She told me that she had time planned off, but
Good.
we'll try to make that happen.
Absolutely. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Correspondence. Under correspondence, we have correspondence from the Massachusetts State Ethics Commission regarding Selectman Goulart.
Okay, a question arose because this is kind of a tag on to a couple of, well, I guess more than a couple of weeks ago. When Jason McGovern was appointed a full-time firefighter in Dayton, I had read a statement that I filed with the town clerk indicating that the State Ethics Commission had said it was okay for me to vote on his appointment, which I did. The question arose because now, other than being a selectman, I'm also the personnel officer, and so I'm involved with collective bargaining, and the contract that's open is with the police department. So I did speak to Kevin Larrabee, who was the attorney of the day on May the 9th. And appearance of favoritism or influence. So I have to describe the issue that is coming before me for an action. My grandnephew, Jason McGovern, is a full-time Dayton police officer. What responsibility do you have for taking action or making a decision? I am the personnel officer for the Board of Selectmen, and as such, am required to participate in collective bargaining with the police union representatives. Explain your relationship or affiliation to the person or organization. Jason J. McGovern is my grandnephew. My sister is his grandmother, and his father is my nephew. How do your official action or decision matter to the person or organization? I am a member of the Board of Selectmen and a negotiator in the collective bargaining process. I want it publicly known that I am related to Jason, although not closely related. Additional facts. Why is there a low risk of undue favoritism or improper influence? The risk is low because the collective bargaining agreement covers all police officers who belong to the union. Each and every person covered under the CBA will benefit from the negotiated settlement. There is no one special provision for Jason or any other covered employee in the CBA. Once negotiated, the CBA will be given to the full Board of Selectmen for approval/ratification. I discussed this matter with Kevin Larrabee, attorney of the day at the State Ethics Commission on May 9, 2018. He was aware that I had contacted the Ethics Commission regarding Jason McGovern's pending appointment last February. Yeah, it's more than a couple of weeks. I feel that based on the information Larrabee provided and our ensuing conversation, I can participate in the collective bargaining process and vote with my colleagues on the Board of Selectmen when the CBA is settled. What he said to me was, this is a continuation of what you already asked us. I said, but the question was asked, so I'm asking again. And I said, he says, well, it's the same question. You can serve and negotiate. I said, should I issue a new form? Well, you don't have to. I said, I think I will. So this was filed May the 9th. So
You know, if you ever have to call again, he's going to tell you to stop calling.
he's going to say, we're tired of hearing.
Not you again. We're going to transfer you. Okay. Next, announcements. Bulky item pickups are scheduled for the week of June 11th through June 15th. Tags are available for purchase at the Selectmen's office. The rate sheet is available on the Board of Health webpage. There will be an information session regarding the proposed right to farm bylaw tomorrow, Thursday, May 17th, at 6:30 PM here at Town Hall. The public, of course, is encouraged and welcome to attend and ask questions regarding the Agricultural Commission warrant article, which will precede the actual right to farm bylaw as well. There is a second Green Communities information session regarding the proposed Stretch Energy Code bylaw on Wednesday, May 30th at 6 PM at Town Hall, just so the public is aware. We are about to send out a mailer, which was just printed. On the mailer, it says 6 PM, and that is why we have changed it to 6 PM. The Friends of the Dayton Public Library will hold Meet the Candidates Night on June 11th, 2018 at 7 PM at the Dayton Middle School. Go out, get informed, ask questions if you have them, please. The Dayton Historical Society has an exciting upcoming event, May 19th, 2018, which is this weekend. I believe it's Saturday, so Saturday, May 19th. There will be a plant and yard sale at the Winslow Davis Museum, which is on the corner of Center and William Street from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please call 508-669-4004 to reserve a yard sale space. Under Selectmen's reports, and I'll be very brief.
Just
Yeah,
one more
Selectman
thing.
Goulart. Yep.
Just to remind everybody, when I mentioned this earlier in the meeting, this is about the spraying. One more time. Bristol County Mosquito Control will spray the area behind Town Hall, including the field, on one of the following dates, May 29, 30, or 31. The actual date is dependent on weather conditions. The spraying is in preparation for the Aggie School graduation on May 31st. Please avoid the area behind Town Hall from midnight to 7 a.m. on these dates.
Okay. And thank you for that, Selectman Goulart. That is a good point. If you don't want to get sprayed, don't go there on those dates between 12 a.m. and 7 a.m. Under Selectmen reports, again, I'll just be very brief. We did hold a information session on Monday evening for the proposed Stretch Energy Code bylaw. There was only one person who showed up. So hopefully what that means is you don't have any questions because you're super supportive. What to say? It was Mrs. Ellen Bidlack. I hope you don't mind me saying her name. It was public. She came. She had great questions. She wasn't really, she knew it was about energy, but she didn't really know what exactly the actual bylaw was. It was explained to her. She understood it. It applies to new construction, either residential or commercial, not to existing structures. And so it went smoothly. We reviewed what the 5 criteria are to become a green community in order to be eligible for the both the designation grant when you become a green community and also for the competitive grants that you're eligible for if you become a green community. So it was a very positive experience. And again, we will be having another information session on Wednesday, May 30th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. Just for my colleagues present this evening, I'm going to request on May 30th that the Green Communities Committee, Mr. Pickering, our regional coordinator for the program, comprise like a slideshow for us, a PowerPoint presentation. It's very brief, so I'm going to request for that agenda on May 30th at the Selectmen's meeting for Chairman Gray, who is the chairman of the Green Communities Committee here in town, to just go through that 5-slide presentation. If my colleague has any objection.
No, that's
okay.
fine.
I was okay with objection. All right. Did you have any reports, Selectman Goulart?
I alluded to the field trip we took today. This is public information. Town of Dayton had an injunction filed against it because of action it's taken relative to 140 Center Street. That's the property across from the Aggie School, the main building that's fenced. There was an initial complaint last August, and it was investigated by, it was first the police, and then all of the ensuing town boards and committees and offices that needed to be there. All procedures were followed. Trauma 24 was brought in to clean it before, not thoroughly clean it, but remove biohazards prior to an inspection team going in. The inspection team went in fully covered head to toe, mouth, the whole bit. And they prepared reports and gave them to the building commissioner. Based on the reports, the situation was I'll say so dire, that it was planned to be demolished. The property owners asked for more time, and they were granted it. Now, again, this was last August. There was a large space of time when nothing occurred, because they wanted to be able to remove articles. And the only stipulation is that anyone going to the property, once it got fenced, had to call the town hall and make an appointment to have, and it would be the building commissioner for the most part, meet them there. In other words, it's got the you know, the painted red X that tells the fire department unsafe? That's on the building. So therefore, anyone going to the site was supposed to call the building commissioner for an appointment, and they could go there and remove things and whatever. Probably 2.5 weeks ago, the owner came to town hall again, and because the notification, the sunset notification had been put down, had been tacked to the property, indicating it was coming down. Eventually, they did get their lawyer to issue, to request an injunction. So at New Bedford Superior Court today, Mr. Costa from Gay and Gay, representing the town, Mr. Aguirre, Mr. Pilling, the health inspector, Mr. Ferry, and I were there to represent the town. It was pretty much just the statements from the attorneys. Judge McGuire took it under advisement. He asked a few questions, but the documentation that was filed by the town was not only the affidavit, but many, many color photographs inside and out. And so we're waiting to hear what the judge's ruling will be. But this was a public matter. It was an open court. And the town of Dayton has followed the rules. The town of Dayton has proceeded in this case as it has with any other building that we've had to deal with. And both Selectmen Zagrafis and I, and I'll call it the inspection team, have done these inspections. We were not involved in this particular inspection, but we know what happens, we know what takes place, we know the rules that have to be followed. I've done one personally where you've gone up from head to toe, then you get hosed down when you come out. And in any case, we will await that ruling, but that's the situation we're dealing with, because people have asked repeatedly, what's going on over there? And that's the position right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And just for anybody watching, the procedure on things like a demolition is the same in every instance, and that's what my colleague is referring to. So there is a consistency. Nothing was done out of the ordinary.
And unless there is a dire emergency declared, this doesn't happen overnight.
Exactly.
There are timelines, there's notifications, and everything else that have to take place. So those rules and regs have been followed.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, let's move on to acknowledgements. I know we don't have a formal acknowledgement. I sent an email to them personally, so I hope you don't mind me giving you a shout out. I do have to give a big thanks to Town Administrator Aaronstein, the Town Accountant Jennifer Louise, Assistant Town Accountant Linda McCarran, and everyone on the Finance Committee, and you, my colleague, and us, for working on the budget. It was a little bit different this year because we had a town administrator. The board played more of a pivotal role in actually doing the budget. It truly this year is the Selectmen's budget, which is sort of a big change from prior years. And I just want to thank the entire, what I call the financial team. Everybody did a great job and everybody did their role. So thank you very much. Approval of the minutes. Mrs. Brady? Perfect. Approval of the warrants.
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrant 46A-18 in the amount of $90,040.89 payroll. 46B-18 in the amount of $122,491.09. Warrant 46C-18 in the amount of $1,691.45. And warrant 46D-18 in the amount of 10 cents. All accounts payable be approved.
I'm going to step down and second that motion. Discussion.
The 10 cents was a bank charge. You know what it's gonna cost us to issue that check?
More than 10 cents. We're going to lose money.
Or to prepare the warrant.
It's like debited from us.
I wish. Further discussion. Hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes. You stepped out of the room, and I thanked the financial team, you, the town accountant, assistant town accountant, and the finance committee for your fabulous work on the budget.
Thank you. Can I jump on that? Jennifer Louise was instrumental, and just thanks, Jen.
Absolutely.
So, as was
I
the
hope you're not
finance
watching.
committee,
I hope
it was
you're
good.
sleeping.
No,
Well, she can't get Channel 9 anyhow. She'll have to watch them.
That's right. Before we adjourn, public input. Please knock the wall.
no more.
Oh, I do want to say, and I'm sorry we missed it, but when I got here, my 3 colleagues were sitting out there waiting. I was here before 1. Today was Jennifer Louise's birthday.
Well,
and-
it wasn't her actual day. I do,
Well, they celebrated it
yeah,
today.
a monthly, yeah.
Yeah, and so there was a cake in that at 1 o'clock, but as I say, when I got out of my car, I said, what about the cake? And they said, let's go. So needless to say,
I think there's some left over, and
I
it
was
was
just,
delicious.
that was my next question. I was
It
going to
wasn't
wait till the
delicious.
camera went off.
I wasn't driving.
I haven't had dinner. Anything else?
Don't you take it home?
I might.
Oh, I told her to.
Wait, no, she did.
I don't know, I don't remember.
Okay.
So happy birthday, Jen, whenever it is.
Very happy birthday.
And that's not paid for by public funds, just so everyone knows.
And we won't ask your
Disclaimer,
age.
can we get cable to give us a disclaimer? Okay, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
We don't have any executive stuff?
Nope.
No, good. Motion to adjourn.
I will step down and second that motion. Discussion? All right, hearing none, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion passes, and we're adjourned. Cable, thank you for hanging in there. Have a great rest of the
Thank you,
evening.
Cable. Thank you, Library.